Mr. D Moots Photography in here today, and Jeffrey Neville of Selective Imagery, and everybody in the chat. I see the chat's warming up over there already. Quite a few people in. It'll migrate over here to the live side for me in a minute. Yeah, see, there's been a couple of questions about the topic. Well, we are a chat room for people to just chat. And since I get bombarded with emails about don't talk about this, do talk about that, guess what? I'm going to flip that bugger on you. Now, it's up to you in the chat to decide what we're going to talk about. And then you can beat each other up. So I've heard a lot of great ideas, but there are plenty of talking heads out there in YouTube world for learning, for whatever, for actual organized content on specific subjects. And why do we want to be that way? We want everybody to be able to jump in and add their expertise. And as always, you have a voice. So the phone line's open today. And if you want to call in, you're more than welcome to. And we're just going to kick it off with what you guys want to talk about. I'm going to watch the chat and I'm going to have a good time. So, all right, Jeffrey, how's it going on your end? Other than we just got your audio sorted out again?
Well, temporary. I'm sure it's only a temporary lapse in perfection here.
All right.
Hey, I wanted to share a couple specials that B&H has going on.
All right, hang on just a second. Mr. D Moots up there in the corner. What are you streaming with today, David?
I'm actually streaming with the Z9 and the 14 to 24 2.8. I had just got the lens. I had to test it out somehow.
There you go, folks. If you're looking for a streaming setup, just get a Z9.
Very expensive streaming setup.
Your wildlife might look a little small with that lens.
Skip that Z30, man. Just go for the Presto, the Z9.
I'm actually attempting to branch out and do some architecture stuff for a realtor. I know.
Oh, cool. That ought to be fun, man.
Yeah.
Something different. All right.
Yeah.
Joe Stroud's in here in the chat. Mr. ATR Bear Ted from Long Island. Mr. Ted's in here. J Rod Photo Art. James, how are you today? Just spoke with some friends in London. Wow. Mozman, I have a topic, but it's the elephant in the room and probably somewhat divisive. You know what? Doesn't matter. You bring it up and we'll talk about it, Mozman, because again, I've been preaching this and haven't really been doing it. I'm out of the topic choosing business unless there's something really big going on, because this is a chat room for everybody and everybody has a voice. So we're going to go that route. Don't expect to see any high speed graphics for reminders. All right. So hang on just a minute, Mozman, and then we'll turn you loose. And we can all have a rant today? Absolutely, Ray. Absolutely. That's what we're here for. I want to hear some of you guys rant. Let's see. Who else we have? Martin Hill. Good evening, sir. Good morning or good afternoon here. Good evening to you. Vahagen's in here. What's good, guys? Well, Vahagen, we're going to find out because we're doing it our way now. All right. Also, how to be creative without doing the same thing thousands of people do. Well, we're experimenting with that right now, Joe. That's exactly what we're experimenting with. And let me see. Let me go down here real quick. Ray Powell, how you doing, Ray? Mike Farwell, good to see you in here. And I'm trying to get to the bottom real quick, make sure I mention everybody because that's important. Everybody deserves to be, mentioned. David Brandsma, Dice Kolov, all right, from Eastern Europe. Anybody else? I don't want to miss anybody. Chuck, Jeff Moots, Bob, Joe Man's Land. Joe, how are you up there in the snow, man? Up there in the cold and the snow. I'm just trying to get through them real quick, make sure I got everybody, and we'll mention others as they pop in. All right, it's good to see everybody. Glad to see everybody in the chat. And yes, this is the day that you choose what we're going to talk about, and you guys can battle it out over there. But we'll sit back and make sure that we're responding and talking about it. And all right, Jeffrey, before you talk about the specials you found over on B&H, everybody remember it's at the bottom of the screen. December 3rd, this coming Saturday night is the photo review. I have, I think, 17 photos, I think, right now. But if you haven't submitted a photo, by all means do. And we'll have a good time Saturday night talking about what you're working on, things that you've shot or are shooting now, and looking forward to that. And I think everybody else is as well. All right, Jeffrey, let me turn it over to you, brother. What did you find at B&H?
First, I'll say hi to Roy and say I'm wearing my Greg Norman shirt. I got my shark on my shirt here, man. I'm pointing the wrong way as usual. There we go.
Jeffrey,
Shark, man.
What'd you touch?
Yeah, what did you touch?
It's the shark, the Greg Norman shark logo that he puts on all his shirt.
No. What did you touch on the computer?
Nothing.
Your audio sounds like it's
sputtering now.
Going off. Yeah.
Well, let me.
Nothing. Gone.
Still gone?
There you go. You're back.
I'm back.
Now sounds good.
I guess I better talk quick then. B&H, this is the week where B&H just does those sales where it's one day only. Yeah. So the two things I'm going to bring up real quick are as of this time, it's got 12 hours left if you want to get either one of these things. I was hoping Z8 was going to be here. Z8 always talks about how in some cases the lenses he used for portraits on the Z mount he feels are too sharp, and he wishes they had more of the effect of the lenses that he used years ago, or on the F mount glass. Well, Lens Baby has what they call a velvet, Lens Baby Velvet 85 millimeter f1.8. And their whole point of this lens is to give you a smooth glowing aesthetics, soft glowing effects at wide apertures, a film look to it, 12 blade diaphragm. It has a 1 to 2 macro range, actually. It's only, you can only get it in F mount, not Z mount. But it's $350, save $250. So the deal ends in 12 hours. If somebody, that would be an interesting lens, Vahagan, for you to try to get a hold of and do a review on, and see if you like it. But it's basically set up to be a portrait lens. The other thing is a Manfrotto fluid head and tripod system for $500, $300 off for anybody looking for that type of item. So those were the two things that I noticed that were pretty good deals right now for those that are interested.
All right, great. And for those of you that may not know, B&H does this every night at midnight Eastern time, U.S. They change. They have what is it? The deal, not the deal of the day. I can't remember how they phrase it, but every night at midnight Eastern time, US, they swap out a whole nother line of things that they have on sale. And there are some great buys that come through there. You just have to check it regularly. All right. All right. Let's see. A lot of people in here right now. Hey, guys, thanks again. Dice talking to Vahagan there. Nice review. There we go. Great review on the Viltrox wide lens. And if you haven't seen it already, Vahagan dropped another video right before the stream almost. I watched it. He's talking about his studio setup, his lighting, the cameras, and everything else. It's definitely worth checking out. Joe's over here talking about Nikon should should make a monochrome only camera. Yeah, let's see how that goes over. Like a lead balloon.
Leave that one for Leica to do. Let Leica keep their monochrome camera.
Yeah. Joe Man's Land. Joe talking about he's dying in the cold up there. Haha. He was asking about gloves. Anybody have a recommendation for photographers' gloves? No. And I don't, because I've tried a couple of pair.
I've got a great pair in the car, and I'm going to leave for a minute and go get them and show them to them because they're really, really good gloves. And I'll be back in a minute.
All right, buddy. Don't touch a computer. Leave it alone.
I'll leave it alone.
All right. Tony Day. All right, good to see you. Getting back down here, and Roy, I didn't mention you earlier. I'm so sorry, buddy. Yeah, he's had an on and off audio gremlin since before we actually started the stream, before we went live. But we'll see how it goes. I think he's got it tamed now, where he just unplugs and replugs his mic. I'm not sure what's going on with that. And Dice, hey, thanks, man. I'm glad you could make it in here live. Either asleep or out, couldn't listen to you live, but I work all evening, so at least I'm having you live. All right, good deal, man. Good deal. And it's always fun to just tune in after the fact. You just can't comment. That's the only problem with just listening to the recorded version. All right. Let's see. Dice again. I wanted to submit a photo, but just can't get the personal PC lately. Okay. All right, man. Well, we hope you do. Hope you do get a photo in, and like for you to be able to make it when we actually do the review. So that's the other thing about the review. If you can't be in here, that's fine. D Moots is having he's having a camera issue, but seems the Z9 is a little too heavy with that lens for his setup.
I could tell it's creeping down. It's too heavy for this cheap arm.
Uh, well, so maybe it isn't the best vlogging camera. Maybe the
No,
Z30.
no, I need a better.
Uh,
It's a cheapy arm that's holding it.
yeah.
I'll be right back.
All right. All right. All right. Let me jump back down here real quick. All right. So yeah, the whole thing about this is guys, the concept, which I haven't been living up to, is it's for you. It's just a big table, a place to go sit down, talk to everybody. Build a community here where you meet and make friends, and it's going to be a regular meeting, meaning the stream, and everybody can just show up when they want, when they can, or whatever, and we can all share information, share topics, and everything else. What I don't want to do is be that talking head, which I'm doing right now. But just all right, so let me shut up about that. So there are quite a few comments in the chat, and James asked about the photo that I have back here. It's really nothing spectacular, but I'll show it real quick. Just one of the events that I shot, and I really liked how this came out and thought it was just a cool photo. But that's what everybody gets to do come a Saturday night, is show all their cool photos. And I hope you guys will participate. The phone line's open today. Let me throw the phone number up here in case anybody wants to call in. You're welcome to call in, talk about what you want. Just understand that you may not be able to hear the panel, the folks in the panel. I haven't got that bug worked out yet. I'm waiting for another piece of expensive gear to go on sale before I go down that path of trying to get a phone line set up. But anyway, I'll leave that up there, of course, until I post one of your comments. Greg, my bike wasn't in that lineup. That night I drove up to shoot the event rather than participate. Mine's in the garage right now, covered in dust because it hadn't been out in so long. All right. Let's see. Tim W. Moore, is the name Nikon Z8 made up, or is that actually the name that will be Nikon's future release? It's made up. I'll tell you that right now, Tim, because Nikon hasn't stated anything yet about what that camera will be. But everybody's really confident that there will be a third body, meaning the Z62 or Z63, Z73, and the blah. We just assume it's going to be the Z8 because that is the number one of the numbers that's remaining in the numbering convention right now. Yaman, how are you, buddy? Good to see you in here. Uh, Z8 is Z late. Yes, it is. Yes, it is, Roy. Absolutely, man. It is.
That's a good one.
But all the talking heads are saying first quarter 23. So somewhere between January and March, we'll just start another poll. When will it show up? But we're guessing between January and March. The real question is we just going to get one camera, being the Z8, or is there and is it going to be the Z8? Could it be the Z6 III, or are we going to get a couple of cameras at the same time? And I know everybody's basing their comment or their speculation on Nikon history, but they seem to forget about a few surprises that Nikon's done. So anyway, that's all we know about it actually right now, Tim. The only real news is there is no news. That's true, absolutely true. That's why we speculate, but nobody wants to do that anymore. So the floor is open, gentlemen, and I think you brought some gloves in that you want to show.
I bought some gloves in, and I'll show you the front and back view.
All right.
These are made from a company called the Heat Company. They sell for like $76 at B&H. And what's great about these is
Go ahead, Jeffrey.
you could flip the mitt over to cover your whole hand, and when you want your fingers exposed, you just flip it back, and there's a magnet that holds it. And then if you want to expose your thumb, you have Velcro. You peel that, and there's a magnet to hold the thumb part on the back. And it also has a slide-in area in the glove to put hand warmers in there if you need them. And when you want to take the glove off, you just pull on these loops that are in between my fingers, and it just helps you pull the glove off nice and easy off your hand.
Jeffrey,
and they're like 70. Let me look it up here for sure. They're $76 on B&H right now, and they're called the Heat Company.
You're cracking up again, but I've got Joe Mansland, Joe on the line that wants to talk to you about the gloves. Can you unplug, replug, or whatever you were doing with the mic?
Yeah, we will try to unplug, replug.
All right. Now you
worse.
Nope.
No, there you go.
Okay.
All right. Go ahead, Joe. Go ahead, Joe. Yeah.
We can't hear Joe, Chuck, by the way.
Joe?
No.
I'm sorry. Hang on a second. Hang on a second. Oh, hang on. All right. Try it again, Joe. Sorry.
No, still no luck.
I don't understand why. What's going on now?
It's your turn to have fun.
Oh man. Go, Joe. Let me hear you. Let's try it again. Say something.
Nope.
No, not hearing you. Yeah, I hear you fine. I don't know why all of a sudden. Oh man. Hello, Joe.
Oh, can you guys hear me now?
No, they can't.
No.
Yeah, I have no idea why all of a sudden. I think I just need to probably reset the phone. All right, sorry about that. All right, just gremlins everywhere today. I don't get it. All right, so Jeffrey, he was actually talking about the problem he's had so often, and I've had the same problem. Is the fingers? I don't know if the fingers in the gloves are too tight, and I've sent them back and got larger pair or whatever. But my fingers get just as cold with or without those gloves on. Are these different?
No, these are nice and warm, and you can even buy
Oh,
a set of you could buy a set of thermal liners, like another glove within a glove that has the touch
yeah,
stuff
touchpad,
on it.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, but these are fingerless. Is that? Yeah, those are
These are
like
these
most
are fingerless, and then you flip this over and you cover your fingers.
Okay, all right.
So when you're really cold, you put your fingers inside, you're good, and you can put a hand warmer
Okay.
in there and warm them up really good, and it works really good. I mean,
Well,
it's
see, the problem I found is in warmer climates or whatever, not so cold climates, all these gloves work. But
Yeah,
when it's down to zero or in the teens, they don't work. I'm
I've
sorry.
I've I've tried a lot of gloves myself, and yeah, you're right. It when you get in the cold stuff, I haven't found a pair of gloves yet that really keeps your fingers warm. Plus, that are easy to manipulate your camera with.
I'm going to try to reset this phone while we're talking.
these
Yeah.
work good. I mean, if you were going to be in 0 degrees, you would get the liner to put on your hand first, and then you would be fine with these. But if you're I've worn these when it's like, wind chill 14 degrees, 10 degrees, and it's fine without the liner. But like, in that case, I'm not leaving my bare fingers out for long periods of time. I'll run off some shots, and
They're
then
back
I'll
they're
and
back ordered, by the way.
then I'll put it back in.
Okay. Yeah,
Just
I
But
don't know what's going to help us when it's, down in the teens or even near zero. Maybe there are no gloves that are going to work for that have dexterity. You're just going to have to put up
well,
with.
yeah, you have gloves, but there's no dexterity. You're taking them on and off.
I don't know if
Just
you heard me or not. Those are on back order, by the way.
Okay. I know it took me a while to get them. My son actually got them for me. He says, "What do you?" This was a few years ago. He says, "What do you want for Christmas?" I said, "Get me a pair of these gloves when
They
they
say
have."
they say expected availability February of 2023. So
When winter's about over.
yeah,
Nancy's talking about she takes medicine, blood pressure medicine, and her hands are cold year round. She can't do cold weather without heated gloves. I hear you, Nancy. My hands stay cold too, but yeah, I shoot I have. I don't know if I'm going to shoot it this year or not. Wreaths across America, and a couple of years there, we had about almost a foot of snow on the ground, and the temperature had dropped down in the teens. And man, carrying that magnesium refrigerator around in my hand, I don't care
yeah.
what kind of gloves I was wearing. It was cold.
I'll be in Minnesota at the end of December, and it's always bitterly cold there. And I haven't found any gloves that work worth a darn there.
Yeah.
You always got to have a pair of hand warmers in your pockets of your coat. I mean, at a minimum as well. I think that's a good thing to do all the time.
All right, folks, we've got Mr. Ronald Pollard in here. Ronald, who's your guest?
This is my student. Her name is Scotty. Hey guys, good morning.
Hello,
How's it
hello.
going?
Hello.
So that's Chuck. It's
Somewhere over here.
Chuck's the good-looking guy.
No.
he's okay. That's the reason. Chuck. I told him you're the reason for the season. Okay. This is D. Moose. He shoots wildlife and animals. Kills them and eats them up real good too. This season, and then there's Jeff.
Okay.
Hello, hello.
Right. Okay. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah.
Cutting out just a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. I just wanted to let you know. I wanted to say hi, Chuck. Our classes and our mentorship, but I wanted to say hi. I wanted her to meet people. And
Well,
starting with you, Chuck.
All right. She needs to become part of our community when she's ready and
When
get in
she's
here
ready,
with all these
yeah.
experts. Get in here with all these experts.
Chuck's actually Santa. Chuck's actually Santa Claus, before he fattens up for Christmas. That's the skinny version.
Well, it's very nice to meet you.
Nice to meet y'all too. Nice to meet you.
This okay. They are comedians They are comedians.
All
All right, Chuck, pay my respects, man.
Hey, take her easy.
Take
Thank you
care.
very much, Ron.
Guys.
All right.
You're learning from the best over there, you know. So have fun.
Thank you.
Listen to them.
I will.
Okay, guys.
You all have
See
a
ya.
blessed day. All right. Mr. Ron stopped in for a minute. All right. So I don't know what happened to the phone. I'm ready to try it again. If somebody wants to call, we'll make it happen somehow, some way. All right. So the phone line is open again. I'll put the number up here. Man, we're batting a big fat zero today, aren't we?
I wanted to see. I guess Mozman didn't want to talk about his elephant in the room.
Yeah, I need to. What I need to do, Maz, if you want to call, man, call the line. We'll see if it works. But
He didn't want to insult me. That's why I'm the elephant.
We're open for whatever. And Jeffrey, you need to unplug and plug again, man.
On a timer, I guess.
I'm gonna clean it with alcohol.
All right. Your voice, your throat, or the microphone?
Yeah. Shot of both.
Long Rider, good to see you, buddy. Good to see you. All right. Any word on the 800s? I haven't heard anything, and I'm sure. Well, you had demoots. Dave, you were looking at that for a while, but I think you said you dropped your order for the 800, didn't you?
Who's that? No, I had an 800 and sold it because I was getting the 400, and
Yeah.
it's a really good lens. I kind of miss it in a way, but you know, the 400 and I do have the new 600 on order, so we'll see when I get that.
Yeah, I can't wait. You got to do a video, man. Let us know.
Oh yeah.
We're still waiting for a real good video with the 400.
A buddy of mine got his 600, the new one, just the other day, and I've seen some images from it, and you know, it's going to be a great lens. But you know, after watching Steve Perry's video, you know, if you already have a 600, there's not a huge reason to jump the gun and get that thing. You know, you're really just looking at the convenience of having that teleconverter built in, really, at that point.
So, David, again, you did have the 400 4.5, which you sold,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, I did.
So
Yeah, it's a great lens. Yeah, I only got rid of it because of the 400 2.8.
Nikon's in there. He said no news at all in Ireland on either of those lenses, the 400 TC or the 600 TC.
Yeah, USA seems to have gotten the larger orders.
Yes, it's funny that Becky seemed to talk about that the other day from Grays of Westminster.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, she said that U.S. gets a market share. She didn't say, I mean, she wasn't mad or anything like that, but it was like, you know, USA gets the market share of the 600 that's coming out right now. And they've already been told that there aren't enough 600s for every retailer to have one. So,
yeah, she said like everybody might get one lens. Woo-hoo.
I know one camera store that my buddy got his from, they got 3 of them in, but they were all MPS orders. So they weren't up for grabs for anybody, except unless you ordered and attached your MPS to it.
Joe Stroud wants to know where you're at in Ireland. Now you can. Nick can, Nee can, whatever.
Dublin.
I'm waiting for his Wi-Fi to get better over there and bring him on the show. You still working on that, Nikon? We got to get you in here one day on the show. All right. So we had a lot of comments, and Mozman says he wants to wait on the elephant in the room. I don't know how there could be any more elephant in the room than me. I'm apt to misspeak at any time. I've been called out on that a couple of times by people. But, it's unscripted, it's uncut, unedited, it's live, and what you say is there forever. That's just the way it is with a live stream. So if I said it either mistakenly or on purpose, well, you can go back and find it and call me on it. And that's the way it is for everybody else that's in here, too. Looking to see if I'd missed any. You guys just, I've missed whatever you topics or whatever you guys wanted to talk about or questions or whatever. Drop them in here in the chat again, and we'll get to it. Hang on, I got to sneeze now. Man, what else? Oh man. Yeah, there you go. That is absolutely right, Charles. The petulant child, live and uncensored. That is me. All right, but I want you guys to have a chance to be a petulant child too. So,
Craig C had a question in there. Selling best. Oh, where'd it go? Best most fair places. I guess
okay,
it depends on if you're wanting to sell to a camera reseller or just to a individual. I'm not sure. Maybe he can answer real quick who he's.
thank you, Vahagan. Now I'm all stopped up, man. My sinuses have been crazy. All right. Roy's talking to Craig over there about the 1 to 400 and the 400 4.5. All right, guys, let's go. You have the floor. Let's have it.
Yeah, eBay is not a great place to sell anymore. They take a huge cut of everything.
And you're fighting all the people
fake
out
accounts and
there. Yep.
yeah. I mean, I've sold lenses to MBP and KEH, and I've sold them to individuals. I've never had any issues out of MBP or KEH. I've sold stuff on fredmiranda.com. But it doesn't matter where you sell. You got to watch. You got to watch what you're doing there.
I think that's just it. You got to decide how much peace of mind you want in selling your lenses or cameras. I mean,
Yeah.
eBay.
I mean, if
you can work it. You can work eBay, of course, but it's
Yeah.
tough, man. You got to do your research. You can't jump on the first offer to buy your equipment. You better make sure you do everything you can, all the due diligence you can, to make sure this isn't going to some PO box somewhere.
Yeah, and Mozman's right. Selling to a reseller is they definitely don't give you a lot for your lens. They're going to take definitely even a bigger cut than eBay. It's just you get a guaranteed sell that's pretty safe. So, but he's right.
I agree with that too, Moz, man. Facebook Marketplace, I like. You just may not, depending on where you live, you might not have a large enough market that's looking for the things you're trying to sell.
Yeah.
But I've used it here in Connecticut, and it's so much peace of mind. Meeting with an individual to sell a piece of equipment or even to buy. I like that much better.
Yeah. Fred Miranda's probably my top pick because most everybody on there's kind of been vetted, but you still have to watch even there.
Yeah.
And Craigslist, just in my area anyway, doesn't seem to be a good avenue for me. I just don't think there's enough people on Craigslist in my area anyway, looking for that type of stuff.
There you go. Here's an elephant to throw into the room. Everybody stand back. We got an elephant loose in the room right now. The ZF Retro 44 megapixel body. Yeah, Ray, there are quite a few people out there that have different cameras in mind that they want, and I get it. And you know what? I'll give Nikon benefit of the doubt. It's going to take a while, but as far as prioritizing what comes out next, because we're in the, we're in a complete turnover here as far as Nikon goes. It's switching systems, literally. Um, Within a brand, switching systems with the new Z mount and everything else. And I hope everybody gets what they want, but there are a few priorities, at least as I see, that need to come out first. And Nikon's been stumbling on that, I think, considerably, especially when it comes to these lenses. I know that Dave up there is happy. He's got the 400 TC and he's got the 600 TC on order. And I'm happy for him, but Dave's one of about 9 people in America that will have the 400 TC and will have the 600 TC. So I'm just thinking that maybe the masses might have been the best bet, right up front, but we'll see what they do. But yeah, Ray, I hope they come up with something like that, because I know there are a lot of nostalgic photographers out there that would like to have a stills only DF like camera. But I just don't think that's the best move at the moment for Nikon. I'm not saying don't do it. I think that's what the big fire was on YouTube here recently over the Z90, Z500, APS Pro Body, whatever you want to call it. And, maybe there was some miscommunication about whether Nikon should do it or shouldn't do it right now. But yeah, I agree. Nikon needs a Pro Body DX or Pro DX body like the D500. All right. But now here's where I'll get in trouble. I'm going to let you know that I don't think Nikon needs to do that next. Okay. And there are a lot of people talking about, well, why full frame? Why does full frame get all the attention? Well, because full frame is a larger body of cameras than DX. I understand there are people that still shoot them and they're great and everything else, but where's the bang for the buck right now when we have limited supply, limited everything? Nikon
Yeah.
needs another full frame body out before they even consider some exotic. So that's just my thoughts, and you guys can weigh in with yours. Um, da, da, da.
Jeffrey's just jumping in and out.
Jeff, you need to get an exorcist
If
to
like
visit your home.
egg, if I end up steam coming off my head in about 5 minutes, I'll tell you.
I'm thinking you better look for a deal for a Windows PC.
Man, buddy. Yeah, that's you got the anti-rant filter on, is what that is. It just all right.
If you can, I had a little same argument, but I had a back and forth, and you can't hear me now.
No, it's cutting in and out.
Bits and pieces.
You know,
I don't know, buddy. I don't know.
I'm going to you a favor. I'm going to hang it up. It isn't. I'm getting too upset. I'm going to pour
get
something on my keyboard.
Get your laptop or your iPad out.
Well, I try my laptop. I could do that. Here, I'll try my laptop.
All right, buddy. All right. Nancy's got a question here. Talking about using her flash on her Z9 Thanksgiving pics. Excuse me, man. Pics were really dark. Not sure what happened. Has anybody tackled that yet over here in the chat? Hang on, Nancy. We'll see if anybody's addressed that yet.
I don't see anything.
And kind of need a little bit more information.
Yeah. What flash?
Yeah.
What brand?
I don't know if it can help, but we got a lot of big brains that hang out in the chat, and somebody may have experienced it themselves. The only problem I had with flash on the Z9 was my Nikon speed lights work fine for everything, but my Godox speed light will not fire in TTL. I don't know why. I think it has to be updated or something. But that's the only problem I've had. And are you shooting manual with the flash, Nancy, or are you shooting TTL or something? Let's see.
Yeah, I don't shoot flash, so I wouldn't be able to help her out.
Yeah, and that's what I was talking about earlier there. I'll let Nancy get back to us with some more info. Yeah, I think it was miscommunication. It was probably what happened there. And I am not taking up for either side, anybody or anything else. But as I listened to it, I think that Matt was saying right now, meaning timing. I don't think he was saying Nikon doesn't need. And if he was, guys, and I missed that, then let me know. But I feel the same way. Nikon should work on a Pro Body DX camera, but let's get a couple of the full frame, or at least one of the full frame cameras out first. All right, whether it's a mythical Z8 or whatever it's going to be called, or the Z7 III or Z6 III. And I got a feeling the Z6 III probably would be the best choice right off the bat to let all the people into this new tech that, at a great price point. And that's just my thoughts. And you guys can weigh in with what you think. Yeah, I want the Z8, no doubt about it. But I think the Z6 III is better for Nikon right now. Again, to let people experience some of this new tech, AF and everything else. And at that price point, I think you're going to have a hard time getting it for a few months. That's for certain. What do you think, David?
Well, I don't know. I was going to ask a question here real quick.
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm thinking about, I'm going to try to get into some real estate photography that I was talking about earlier. And I'm really considering picking up, like a Z6 II or Z7 II, maybe even a Z6 or Z7, something cheap, but so I can have that little bit smaller body. What do you think? I mean, they're all going to take great photos for real estate,
Yeah.
I'm just thinking about maybe picking up something used. That way,
Yeah.
it's a little smaller body, easier to maneuver, and instead of carrying the Z9 around for everything.
Yeah, I think a Z7, just the Z7 would be great for that,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't want to talk you into that. I'm just saying that because of the price right now and everything else and what you're going to use it for, it just becomes a camera for that. I mean, of
Yeah.
course, you
Yeah.
can use it for it, but
And
the
that's
price,
really all I'd probably use it for. And, maybe taking pictures of the grandkid and family, stuff like that.
yeah, and as far as business goes, that's a write off too. That's a
Yeah.
tool for the business. So, yeah.
Yeah. I probably, since I won't be doing video with it, probably go with the Z7, I guess.
Nancy talking about she was using the SB5000. I don't know what it or what happened, Nancy. And I guess there's more comments down below because I'm so way behind here. Sanjit Paul, good to see you in here, Sanjit. But I've been seeing lots or loads of amazing pics. Where you been seeing all these amazing pics? And I hope you're going to send something for Saturday night and you can join us. I know it's late there right now. What time is it? It's almost 1 in the morning there. Oh, let's see. Oh, so yeah, I knew that there was an update to the Godox Flash for the new Nikon Z series cameras, but unfortunately, Mozman told me that there is I can update it with a Mac now. It's been a while since I looked and to update my Godox flashes, and then it was Windows only. But all right,
I've been looking at some forums here on DP Review, and there's people talking about SB5000 that it works perfect on their Z9. So maybe if she cruises around the DP Review forums, and she might find some answers there.
Mozman hasn't had any problems with the Godox. Okay, let's see. Mr. Jeffrey's back. You on your laptop, Jeffrey?
Can you hear us?
Can't hear anybody.
Yeah,
Okay.
you're cutting out still.
You know what? We're isolating the problem, though.
Yeah.
If it's doing it on two different computers, there's something going on with your Wi-Fi or something. It's got to be a data issue.
Yeah, for two different computers to be doing that.
I hear you now.
You need to quit stealing your neighbor's Wi-Fi and get your own, Jeffrey.
Me now, really? Seriously? This is another Mac. This is my Mac.
Oh man!
I think I'm gonna go to Mac. I think that's appropriate.
You know what? It's identical to what you were experiencing on your Mac Studio. Seriously, it's identical. So it's not the computer. You should feel good about that. Now, where it is, I don't know. Is it your router? Is it? I don't know.
Something's definitely changed over there.
That would answer why you can do it for your videos, but you can't do it when streaming.
Yeah.
I think I got to do.
Yeah, your audio. I mean, your video is perfect.
Yep. That's weird too. Why would there's more data being used for video than audio? I don't understand it.
I don't either, but
I'm sure?
Gonna quit show.
Are you sure your wife isn't sitting in the other room with a jammer?
That I talk too much.
Jeffrey, the answer is a Z9 for streaming, an Audio Technica mic, and a Blue Coil audio input device. You know, you just got to spend more money, man.
Oh man!
All right. Yeah, you got Apple and.
All right, buddy.
Have a good one.
All right, Jeffrey.
See you, Jeffrey.
Yeah.
Go buy a new computer.
All right. So back over here talking about the SB5000 and the Nikon Z9. Nancy, I don't know, man. I'm trying to catch up again over here. I guess we got the two different topics going on at once, which we're able to do here because we often have two or three topics going at once. TTL works fine with the Godox trigger, is what Mozman's saying. So Nancy says YouTube is shut down twice today trying to watch on her iPhone. Wow. Is that what's going on today? Everybody's on the computer today?
Yeah. I mean,
Andy,
your stream's coming through perfect, Chuck. So I don't think it's definitely on Jeffrey's end.
Yeah. Let me light this rocket. I just read the first part of it. Andy says, I do not see the case for a D500. Whoa, get ready. All right.
That's the hot topic on the internet, boy.
Yeah, here we go. Sure, a few birds want it. Birders want it. But really, how many? The market for APS-C is flooded at 24 to 40 megapixel. Nikon is currently at 20. Yeah, Andy, you're a brave man. He just stripped off his armor and jumped into the battle naked. Man, all right. I don't see a need for it right now, Andy. I said that earlier. I'm not going to repeat all that, but I think Nikon needs to look at it down the road. There are a lot of people, and some are usually in here, like Jeff and Leslie, wildlife photography. And you're right. I don't know how many people are really wanting that body right now. Because Nikon just has way too many other things that should be a priority. And that's just my opinion. But man, I don't know if I'd go so far as to say no case for it.
Even I mean, Canon's R7 has been a pretty hot little camera.
Yep.
So I don't know. I think a lot of it's price entry and that combination of having that APS-C and the price maybe.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. I would love to see the R7 numbers, but it seems to be a pretty hot selling camera for the Canon camp anyway.
I said I was going to do a poll on that and I didn't because I just don't have enough reach, guys. I mean, if we're polling the audience here,
Yeah.
about maybe 3% of the audience will respond to the poll, but I don't know if that gives us a clear picture of whether, what people really think in the Nikon community. Should
Yeah.
Nikon, and there is another, everybody would say clickbait title, but that's a title to do on a quick review, not a review, just a quick video, a few-minute video, because that might make that the reach for a video might be better than my live stream, and I'm sure about that.
Yeah.
Just ask people, should they, shouldn't they? Should Nikon or shouldn't Nikon be concerned with a D500 mirrorless camera right now or at all? And you got to word that right too when you do it so people understand. Um, the D500, and there are a lot of things. We go back to history. Everybody wants to bring up Nikon history, but they always forget where Nikon took a jog, to the left or right or did something different. No, we're not going to talk about that. We're going to stick to, I don't think you can. And I think we're in a different time right now where Nikon has to look at the new audience, the new consumer base, and the wants of the new consumer base. And so to say that they're going to continue to be old stodgy Nikon and give us a camera update every 4 years like they did, or 7 years like they did with film cameras, well, if we rested on Nikon's history going back to film, guess what? You ain't getting anything anytime soon.
Yeah.
All right. So there's history. But then in the DSLR days, we got interim cameras, the D3, then the D3S, and then the D4. We didn't get a D5S. I understand that. But I think times were changing even then. So again, what period of history do you want to cherry pick to say this is why I make this prediction or this speculation? I think people need to forget about what history has said about Nikon and look at what makes sense for Nikon. So anyway, I don't know about the I have a D500. I can actually get in this battle that I didn't use very much, but that was me. So I don't really want a new DS or APS-C Pro body from Nikon. So I'm not saying Nikon shouldn't do it because I don't want it, but I do have the D500, and basing my use of the D500, I'd say I'm not going to go buy another DX camera and fight the battle for. The other thing about DX cameras is, you have two worlds within one, and this is just my opinion. I want you guys to weigh in on it. You have in the APS-C world, you have people that complain they don't get any APS-C glass. Well, they're not the people that are buying the Pro Body APS-C camera.
No.
You know,
No,
the
because those people are going to slap their 600 or whatever on it.
Yeah, there are people that are buying the D500 or bought the D500, and they're pros or high, very big amateurs or whatever, and amateurs with a lot of disposable income that could buy all these different things. But anyway, they bought it to put their long glass on to get that much more reach. And they don't care about DX glass. I didn't.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any DX glass for my D500.
Yeah, I didn't either.
But you got people that are screaming for DX glass. Well, they're not the D500 people. So you can't use them in your argument about, everybody wants an APS Pro body. No, I don't think so. But anyway, these are just some thoughts. And, I'm interested in what you guys have to say. You can throw it in the chat. You can call in and talk about it, or we can stick to whatever topic we were just on.
Yeah.
What do you,
Yeah.
but what do you think, David?
Vahagan's got a good point. He just put the Z500, say it was a Z500 and the 400 4.5 would
Yep.
be a great walk around combination. Now,
Yeah.
granted, that's for birders and wildlife people. That's really all it would be geared towards.
Yep. Yeah, I know the R7 is definitely making noise, and I agree with you, Hagen. And I said that when it came out, and everybody was, "Oh, don't give Canon any praise." but I thought the R7 looked like a real good camera. Now I haven't held it. I mean, if you guys, anybody in here hasn't been over to Amar's channel, you can go over there and check it out because he's talked about it quite a bit because he has an R7. Um, but yeah, and everybody has an argument about this, the Z90 or the Z500 or whatever it would be, talking about for their personal use. And I think it's great. I don't think Nikon needs to do it right now. But you know what? Nikon's not listening to me, or you'd already have a Z8. Okay, you'd be shooting your Z8 today if they listen to me. So don't worry about me influencing Nikon. But I just don't think it's the right time. Sometime next year, yes, absolutely. But and somehow there's going to be this miraculous production, upscaling of production at Nikon that couldn't be done this year. But next year, it seems that they're going to be able to quadruple their production on everything.
Yeah,
that's what all the big YouTube talking heads are saying. Next year is going to be a great year. I hope that it is, but I guess I got to go back and say, well, why wasn't this year anyway? All right, let me get off the rant. Let me get off the gear. If you guys want to talk about it, keep going, because when I get a email saying enough gear talk, I'm going to just forward it to you. All right. Sorry, I had a shiny object there on the desk. All right, David. No downtime. Talk.
Well, I was just looking at Mozman's comment about the R7 having excessive noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't heard that before. Interesting. I've never held one or shot one, so I couldn't tell you.
Nandy's got a comment there for you as far as, I guess he's talking about the architecture or whatever it is that you're going to be doing.
Oh yeah, for about tilt shift. Yeah, I answered him back on that in the chat.
All right. Oh, Sanjit says he sees the amazing pics on here. Yeah, Sanjit, you're absolutely right, man. There'll be some more Saturday night. We got a lot of fantastic photographers in this group. I think it's great, and everybody gets a chance to show off their talents when we do these photo reviews. It's not a critique, just so everybody knows. If somebody wants a critique, you're welcome to it. You can ask for it, whatever, but it's just a review and a chance for you to show off your work. Man, I'm so far behind. What's new, right?
I'm looking here for.
All right.
There was somebody had a question back here somewhere, and I lost it. I think it was something to do, or maybe it was just a statement. It was something to do about a stream about wedding photography. They would love to see a stream about getting into the wedding photography business, I believe it was.
Yeah, and again, guys, I ask these questions for a reason. If you would like that, if enough people would, drop, not in the chat, because I got to scrub through 4 hours of stream to find those comments. But put it in a comment once this rolls into a video, and let me know if enough people are there. Then I'm going to see what I can do about pulling together enough wedding photogs to come in here, and I can just sit back and eat chips and hot dogs while you bombard them with questions. And that's exactly what I mean. Is I'll see if I can get these folks to come in, sit on the panel. You got Vahagan there; he might be interested. But anyway, bring them in and answer your questions. You can bombard them with questions. How to get started? What do I do? How do I set the business up? And all those things, questions that you may have. So again, drop comments in the video after it rolls into a video, and I'll do what I can do to get these people to come together for a specific date and answer your questions. I can't. I'm not a wedding photographer. But there are a lot of smart folks out there. All right. I see a lot of comments here. He hasn't put the gloves over the mic. There you go. Yeah, I guess you answered this, Vagan. If Vahagen's got a link, he's probably busy with a video or something, or he'd probably be in here live on the panel. Uh, yeah, yeah. Z9 doesn't like speed lights from companies like Mikey or Miki or whatever it
Yeah.
is.
I have a feeling it probably has issues with a lot of third party stuff.
Speaking of storage, Charles, and Maz, my enclosure arrived yesterday. I'm just waiting for the drives to get here, and I expect to have them by the first of the week coming up.
What'd you
And
get? What'd you end up getting?
I got well, I'd be lying if I tried to tell you because I can't remember all the names. I got and this is all based on my buddy Mozman helping me out. I wound up with 16 terabyte, actually 32 terabyte of storage, but I'm going to put it in a RAID 1 configuration, so I've got
Yeah.
that backup. So I've got 16 terabytes coming, and or
Is it?
two.
Are you putting it in a NAS box?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, yep.
Okay.
And again, Mozman helped me out. Finding. I'm all about cheap, but I know I can only go so cheap when it comes to storage. But the whole thing, everything out the door for about $750 for 16 terabyte of storage,
Yeah.
32 if I go RAID 0 or whatever.
Yeah.
But I appreciate Maz helping out, and I hope he's helped out others with that conversation that we had about storage. But yeah, Charles, I've got the enclosure, but I'm still waiting for the drives to get here. Then I'm going to pull up a bajillion photos that have spread over every kind of external hard drive, and I'm going to bombard you all with photos. Does he take photos? Oh yeah, I'm going to bombard you all with photos. Not good ones. Don't get me wrong. Just photos.
Hagen said he'd do a wedding show.
All right, great. Yeah, and I mean, I think Vitali from Touch Life Studio. I think Vitali would join Six String Brian up in Canada. I think he might be willing to join because I'd asked before, and so we can get a slice of people from just about everywhere to come in and basically answer your questions about what it takes to become or how to improve or whatever your questions are. And I'd love to set that up, but I want to make sure we get enough people that really want to do that, and I'll set it up, man. Just drop a comment again afterwards saying, "Yeah, I'd like to know more about wedding photography or start wedding photography, however you want to phrase it." All right, shut up, Chuck. All right.
Chip in for a wedding dress for She Wade.
Man, we got to put She Wade on live to talk about from the bride's perspective. Oh man.
He'd probably triple his subscriber base if he switched over to She Wade photo.
Yeah. Yeah, Vahagan, I see your comment there too. If Canon can do it, Nikon. Yeah, I agree with you. Nikon can and should do it, no doubt about it. Uh, yeah, and that's the key. That's the argument right now. That's the battle that'll go on within the Nikon camp. Nikon, I'm sure they will do it. It's just a matter of timing. No matter who wins in that, whether it's an APS-C body comes out first or a full frame body comes out first, there's going to be a battle that goes on in the interwebs over why didn't I get what I want. I just think that there are more people waiting on, just like you said, Charles, more waiting on full frame right now. And why does it have to be about full frame? Well, it doesn't have to be, but it should be about sales and the company making money. I'm not building a square wheel bicycle for people that want to, work out trying to ride a square wheel bicycle when there are only 10 of them and, thousands want a round wheel bicycle. Just makes sense. Or as my analogy with Dunkin' Donuts goes, I go up there every night and they got racks full of crap donut that they made bajillion of, and they ran out of the donuts I want, and evidently everybody else at noon. I'm just not seeing the logic in that. And I think that's kind of they're following the Nikon principle here.
Oh, remember the last show they talked about the back of the screen not being sharp. And that I can't remember who it was, but he ended up putting it in RAW plus JPEG, and he said it was sharper.
Yeah.
I tried that, and I saw no noticeable difference on the back of my screen. So I don't know. I couldn't reproduce or make anything change by shooting RAW plus JPEG or just JPEG only. It
Yeah.
all looked the same to me. So, but that's that was my result when I tried that.
Well, that's one of those instances, and I didn't notice it either, David, but maybe there is an issue with that camera, his particular camera. Andy says, would you all pay $4,000 for a Z8 and or a D500 replacement? Because you folk want stacked BSI sensors, IBIS 6.1 vid, 12-bit, twin CF Express slots, and an and. Yes, we do. Yes, we do. And we want it all cheap too, Andy. I, Nikon let the cat out of the bag with the Z9, buddy. With everything you get in the Z9 at $5,500.
Yeah.
Come on. Nikon set a tough precedent right there. So yes, we want all that in a bag of chips for $4,000. I don't know what it'll cost or whatever. I don't know what we'll actually get. But if they had gone the way, they could have taken a Z7 frame and put all this into all the tech in the Z9 into a Z7 frame, sensor and all, and just called it a day with a smaller battery, less heat dissipation. That's your limitation you're going to get with that. And said, there you go. And how much would that cost? That'd be a whole lot cheaper. And you know what? People would be extremely happy.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, some would say, I want a bigger body. And
Yeah.
some have said they expect Nikon to build a new frame for the D800 replacement. It's not a D800 replacement, by the way. You put a 61 megapixel sensor in there, and you're going to have people fighting over that. Do you want a 61 megapixel sensor? Because half the audience says they want a 12 megapixel sensor.
Yeah.
I don't know what it'll be, but anyway, you could have built that camera pretty cheap. That's what they did with the Z30. They could have done the same thing with this one with all that new tech. Just my opinion. It's going to have two CF Express slots. You can bet on that. And if I'm wrong, well, just like a month and a half ago, I'll tell you, oh, I'm wrong, but I'm confident that it'll have two CF Express slots. Oh man, how far behind am I? I'm just going to go. I'm that far behind. Nancy's at an army base, not telling what they're testing. That's all right. Can you tell me what base, Nancy? I'm retired army. I'm just curious. EL18 battery grip like the D. Yeah, I think Roy, that whatever comes out, it's going to have a battery grip, and if it is the high speed pro smaller body, whether it's Z8 or it could be the Z6 3 as well. I like the idea of the EL18 battery grip. I agree with you.
Speaking for myself only, had Nikon come out with a 36 megapixel Z9 type camera crop sensor, I would have bought that and probably never ever looked at a full frame Z9 had it come out second.
Yeah.
Just for the way I shoot and what I shoot.
Yeah.
That. So I know there's people out there that want that, and I've gone back and forth. Thinking in my head, would I buy a crop body if they come out with one? And I don't know. It changes from day to day with me. I have noticed I've been shooting my Z9 in DX mode, mainly just for that perceived reach. And I did notice that I autofocused on wildlife works better if the wildlife is particularly far away. If you put it in DX mode, it actually, your autofocus system works a little better. I don't know if that's,
Is it just because it's pulling more of the frame?
I don't know. I don't know if there's anything that even says that that it does that, or
Yeah.
if it's something that's built in that Nikon really hasn't, um, you know, give any info on, but it does work better. I've noticed that when you put it in DX mode, it'll grab eyes where if you're in full frame mode, it won't. So there's something going on there. And I've heard other people talk about it as well in some other forums and some other videos. And I've noticed it myself.
Yeah, and there's been a lot of again, we're back to AF, and a lot of people still wanting to fight over AF. Is it better, good, not as good, whatever?
Yeah.
But they can't. They are often people are comparing apples to oranges. As in bird photography, talking about a bird in flight, and there's background behind it, but the background's so blown out that doesn't count as a distractor.
Yeah.
That makes a big difference. Now you get the background close to the bird in flight, and you may find that there's some struggling, a little bit of struggling going on. So that's not a fair comparison either. When you're shooting with a 600 f4 and it looks like melted butter in the background, I mean, what's going to distract the
Yeah.
AF, the bird? And the other is shoot, just what you were just talking about. Shoot a sparrow at 100 yards.
Yeah.
Try to get that to lock on.
Yeah.
But if you got an 800 with a 2 times TC and whatever, and go into DX mode,
Yeah.
and
And
it fills more of the frame, watch how much difference there is. In the
that's how I noticed it when I was shooting the smaller birds.
Mm-hmm.
When I put it in crop mode, because I'm going to crop anyway. And
Right.
as long as, so I put it in DX mode a lot of times, as long as I can still get the composition I want.
Yeah.
And that's when I first noticed it, that it actually focused better on the smaller birds in DX mode,
Yeah.
where it wouldn't. Yeah. So there's something.
I'm getting that T-shirt made, Roy. I'm getting it made, man. I don't need an 85 1.2, but I want it. Mm.
It's all, yeah, Mars in here now.
Arthur's in here, Mr. Flintlock. Mars in? All right, good. Let's see. Yeah. Let's have that fight. I mean, discussion. 12 megapixel versus 61 megapixel. I'm just kidding. I don't want to have that discussion.
Yeah, Miles, man, the more you fill the frame, of course it's better. But I'm telling you, when you switch the Z9 into DX mode for wildlife, it focuses different. It works better on the smaller birds, or really anything that's out in the distance.
Yeah, and here's my problem with birds in flight. Andy brings it up. Keeping the subject in the frame.
Yeah.
And birders are obviously good at it because they practice that all the time.
Practice. Yeah, that's all it is. You have to do it a lot. If you want to get good at it, practice on goals. Just keep shooting goals for quite a while, because they're pretty slow. They get close to you. It's a good way to cut your teeth for bird and flight photography, and you just got to do it a lot.
Mm-hmm. And so now this is the the comment about 20 megapixels versus 61 megapixels as well. Now we're talking about a Z500 is what Mike's talking about here, but are we going to, physics or physics? We're going to have noise with these sensors. Things are improving, yes, but how long before AI becomes dominant figure in noise reduction in camera. And how many people are going to be happy about that? I don't have a problem. I don't care. Sprinkle some pixie dust on it. Let AI do its thing, as long as it isn't bad or whatever. It's not terrible, and I'm okay with that. You know what? Let the camera do as much as it can do for me.
Well, I mean, noise is kind of one of those deals. It depends on your situation. You know, I uploaded a picture to the Nikon amateurs group earlier. It was a red-tailed hawk that was taken with a D500 and a 500 f4, but you know, it's in good light and there's no noise in that picture.
Right.
You know, so it all depends on what you're shooting.
Well, personally, I don't get bent around the axle about noise, but I know a lot of people do. I read newspapers forever. I'm used to seeing
Seeing dots.
and I still like some of the pictures.
Yeah. It was good enough to make out what it was.
Hmm. Yeah, I hear you, Nancy. And that's something else. Everybody talks about go out and shoot, go out and shoot, go out and shoot. And if you're a photographer, that's what you want to do. But man, life is full of all kinds of things that can prevent you from going out and shooting. And I know there's going to be the hardcore photographer that's got, plenty of time on his hands and everything else to say that that's just an excuse. No, no. Some of us, at different periods in our life or in, the year or whatever, hit a rough spot where you've got so many other things going on. I'm sorry, photography does take a back burner. So I hear you, Nancy. And I was just talking to my brother about that this morning, talking about going to work in the dark, coming home in the dark.
Yeah.
This time of the year, it's tough. Did a stream a couple of streams ago asking, what are you shooting now? Or what do what the seasons are changing. Is it changing your photography? Because I know up here, 4:30, it's dark. 4:30 in the afternoon. And I can't tell my wife, hey, honey, I'm putting that off. I'm going out to shoot. No, you're not. So,
Yeah, that's the way it is here. By 6 p.m. around here, it's really dark this time of year.
hey, sorry, I'm just not getting to this, Amar, but you're welcome, man. You're welcome. I try to go around and check out again, here's my life. So, well, all Chuck does is have 2 streams a week. I mean, that's it. No, I try to go around and support everybody that's putting out content. I may not always be able to stay for everything, but if videos come out, I do watch the videos and I want to make a comment or whatever. And that's what I was doing, Amar. You're part of big supporter of me and everybody else in this that's in here right now. And I want to make sure that I'm not all talk. I'm actually supporting you guys as well. All right. Yeah, and birders have time to sit and wait. Talk to I talked to Arthur about that last night. One of the nice things about wildlife photography is just being out, whether you see anything or not. Of course, you want the $1,000,000 photo, but just being out in nature and taking it easy. But I don't know how much fun there is for me in the wintertime when I'm sitting there freezing. Oh, let's see.
J Rod going to the dam this weekend again?
Oh no.
I think that's what I saw there somewhere.
All right. So who wants to call in? Anybody? um, and just like I put in the description, if anybody would like to be on here in the panel, send me an email. And that goes for even today, because I use Restream, and it's just as simple as me sending you a link, and you're in the show on the panel. No, it doesn't. That's a head game. Noise doesn't corrupt anything. Leave noise alone. Noise is good. Mm.
Sanjit, I don't. He asked me a question. What is the toughest? I'm not sure what he. I must be missing something there.
Hey,
Film noise was less ugly than digital noise. Sanjit, I'm not sure what you're asking me there about the toughest. Jeffries was having major audio problems. That's why he dropped out. He was getting frustrated, so he just left. Got a caller?
yep, got a caller. Mr. Amar. Amar. Can you?
I can't hear the caller.
I don't know what's going on, man. Today is Demon Day. No, and it should be, because it's connected. Everything's good. Everything is good to go. Hang on a second. Let me try it this way. Yeah. All right. Well, it should be working right now. Nothing, David.
I still don't hear him.
I don't understand it. All right. All right. All right. Try it again, Amar.
Nope.
No, not working. All right. All right. All right. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. Yep. All right. All right.
Oh,
Bye.
Jeffrey's back. Gonna give
Well,
her
I
another
am,
shot.
I am sorry about that, folks. Man, Sanjay Paul was calling, but he called on the wrong line, and it wouldn't matter anyway. I can't get the call-in line to work for some reason. Nobody can hear. Jeffrey, good to see you.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, what I contacted Apple, and I guess I'm going to have to talk to Restream because they're telling me it's probably a compatibility problem. I got to call Restream, and then I went up and I had him. We changed something on my computer in privacy and security settings, so now Chrome works. So I am in Chrome right now.
Yeah. It's working perfect.
Although your voices don't sound quite right, but I can hear you.
You sound good.
Yeah, you guys kind of sound like you're in a basement, but I can hear you.
Interesting. Yeah, you sound real good right now.
Okay, I changed another setting, so say something. Let me see if you sound better.
Testing 1, 2.
Oh, perfect. Now you sound normal.
There you go. Good. Good thing it didn't mess. Good thing it didn't mess yours up. The opposite.
Yeah, so we're up and running, but they said it was not my microphones or anything else. It's some kind of a compatibility issue. So I'm gonna contact Stream at a later date.
Well, it's
Meantime,
working perfect now.
I'll switch to Chrome then for now anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just ended up like copying Chuck's, link and pasting it in the header in Chrome, and then it got me right in.
All right, man, a lot going on in the back end here. Trying to keep up. Well, good. I'm glad it's working for you, Jeffrey.
Yeah,
glad to see it, man. So yeah, was Chrome? So Chrome was a fix. Sorry, I was doing something else here.
Yeah, I had to change something in the Mac to allow Chrome to use my video and my audio, because the last time I tried to use it, you could hear me, but you couldn't see me.
Yeah.
So we fixed that. So Chrome now seems to work, and I have to talk to Restream why Safari doesn't work. But that's okay, as long as I have a way to get on. I don't care if I switch to Chrome twice a week. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, that's why I started using Chrome. Safari was giving me all kinds of problems. I don't know why it was. All right.
I'd rather switch to Kodachrome.
There you go. Phone doesn't work. I don't know what's going on with that. Audio on your end, you got that fixed. Man, it's just been a crazy day for audio, period.
Sounds good now.
Yeah, finally.
All right. Let me see. Trying to go analyst. Let's see. Trying to figure out your comment here, Tony. Chuck, maybe try giving a call in to appear in the panel instead. Oh, okay. Yeah. I think that's what we're about to do here. All right. All right. Well, I'll tell you what, guys. It's little boy's room time for me. The old man's got to go to the little boy's room. I will be back in just a minute. Don't tear the house up while I'm away.
It's doing it.
Maybe we could sell your house for you while you're away. How about that?
I wish. I do wish.
I'll
throw in a D500 for the buyer.
Where do you want to start? I'll talk like an auctioneer. We'll see if we can auction off your house while you're gone.
Yeah. All right, guys. I will be right back. Go ahead, man. You guys pick it up. Get it going.
Well, I don't remember, Dave. Do you remember or Vahagan could answer what he uses for streaming? Because I don't know. One time he tried to get me on his show, and Safari didn't want to work with what he uses for streaming either.
I don't know what service he uses for
streaming. Maybe Chrome would now work if he ever wants to talk to me again. I don't know if he likes me anymore.
There you go. He just answered. He uses StreamYard.
Yeah. Well, we'll have to do a test sometime, Vahagan, if we can see if it works if I'm in Chrome.
Yeah.
Then I can visit you once in a while if you'd like. If you want your channel ratings to go down, you can call me up. Oh, Andy Miller, I just seen his first attempt with the new Z600 TC today. Oh, that'll be cool. You're going to have to join in and share some pics from that at some point in time.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll tell you a story. I don't want to say I had an argument. I was on another channel or whatever, and there was got into a conversation about, the new cameras that we potentially think may come out, Z6 III, Z7 III, Z8, whatever. And I got talking about pricing, and I don't remember what I said. I threw out, it might even been on my own channel. I don't know. I threw out what I thought the pricing would be, and the person said, no, you're way, 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 way too low. The Z7 II sells for this, and the Z6 II sells for that. There's no way it's going to be what you're saying. But here, I'm going to give you my opinion. I'm going to give you I should have my special hat on and say I'm going to do a prediction. My prediction is, like right now, you could get a Z7 II, $400 off for $25.96. You can get a Z6 II right now for basically $1,700, $300 off. My prediction is that by the time the Z6 III or the Z7 III come out, if they do, that these sale prices are going to be what the normal prices are for those two cameras, and that the Z6 III and the Z7 III are going to be priced within $100 to $200 of what these cameras normally would sell for. That these sale prices are going to end up being the normal prices by the time the new cameras come out, because there's no way in heck that they're going to maintain this price point on basically what's going to be an obsolete camera. It's going to be cameras that they're going to want to get rid of. It's going to be stock that they're going to want to get rid of. Those prices are going to drop, and the new ones are going to fill in the spots. And they may be a little bit more, but they're not going to be like $500 more, which is what this one guy was telling me. Oh, no, they're going to be a lot more money than what you're thinking. I don't think so. I think it just makes sense. You replace it with a new camera. I mean, a lot of people are not going to want to buy the old ones.
Yeah. No, they'll drop the prices and get rid of inventory. I mean, that's typical though.
Yep.
Yeah, Andy Miller's got the trifecta of wildlife lenses there. He's got the 400 2.8, 800 6.3, and the 600 4.
I think he'll get rid of the 800 though, probably.
I don't know, man. That 800 might be worth holding on to just because of the weight. It has its days where you would probably want to shoot that. It's a great lens.
You got to wonder if the 600 coming out, if it's had anything to do with the 800 and the 400 being so hard to get, or whether they're all in their own lane and it's different groups of people working on it, and it really has nothing to do with it.
They're all handmade, so that's part of the problem.
Yeah.
How much people are getting for their D850s? I don't know. I haven't looked at pricing of those lately.
So little that if you own one, which I do, I won't sell it. I wouldn't sell it anyway. I sold one of the two. I had two. I sold one when I did get decent money for it. I got, over 2,000 for it at the time. But now I bet you'd be lucky if you got 1,300 for it or 1,400 for it, if you were lucky.
Yeah, but Hagen, I wish I had my 600 FL still. I wouldn't even think about ordering the new one. I wish I had mine.
All right, I'm back.
Well, what would a high, a really good condition, previous
600.
version 600 run for now, you think?
I've seen people selling them for around, or at least asking around $8,500. Some of them a little bit cheaper, but I don't know. Here's one on eBay right now for $6,300. So,
you watch Steve Perry's video that he did with the comparison between the Sony and the old 600 and the new one or whatever.
Yeah.
The the Sony in the end, they say, I mean, the quality wise, they're saying it's basically neck and neck. But
Yeah.
of course, you're going to have to, the Sony with the separate TC overall would be cheaper, but you'd have to decide if you want to pay the extra money to have the convenience of being able to just use a switch to flip the TC on. And to me, that would be worth the extra money because,
well,
you know,
that's the big plus with the 600. The new one is just having that built-in teleconverter. But you know what he was saying was, you know, heck, if you had a 600 already, if you're just looking for image quality, there's no reason to switch.
No, absolutely not.
And like I said, if I still had my 600 FL, I wouldn't even consider it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. I mean, but I mean, I'm sure you enjoy the instantaneous TC on your 400-2.8.
Yeah, it's great. It's really a big benefit, but it's a heck of a lot of money for that feature.
Yeah.
All right, Amar's here.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Yep.
All right.
What?
Awesome.
What? Is this a Verizon commercial? Yeah, I can hear you now.
I could hear Chuck just fine on the last one. I don't think you all could hear me. I think Vahagan was facing the same thing last night. I think it's something to do with Restream. But I just wanted to come on for a couple of minutes. I can't stay too long. But Moots, I just wanted to thank you, man, for sending that not FTZ. What is that adapter called? The Mac adapter.
Yeah, the adapter for the Sony lens. Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to the dam again on Friday.
Cool.
And the activity's up. So we'll come back with a lot more with the Z9. And we showed quite a lot of photos from the Z9 last night with that lens. And I think even Ron Pollard was floored the way it actually worked. So
yeah,
if you're a Nikon person and you want a 200 to 600, until you see one from the brand, you got a great option because, I don't want to give it away because this time hopefully it's not brutally cold like last time. And, you know, those gloves are awesome. That you were showing because all of us could have used them. It was so cold. But this time we're going to try to actually record some video there just to be able to show people it's not about your brand at all. It is really the love for what you do and why you're out there together, just hanging out together.
Oh, yeah.
And that was much, much more priceless than just talking about sensors and this and that. And you can do that. That's great. But after a while, it was all about just us clinging together and just trying to stay warm and just sharing. I don't even remember if we shared any like camera stories. We shared like about who we are, right?
Yeah.
So all of that happened. And thank you for sending that because, you know, I know James had a really interesting reaction on his face. And I think I have a video of it somewhere because I moved to the iPhone. I have to find that video for you. He was stunned, actually. He's like, is this really a Nikon lens or not? He couldn't tell. It was so fast on the Z9. I mean, we couldn't tell.
Yeah.
It was incredible.
Yeah. When I used it, it definitely, I was shocked. And it really made me man, Nikon needs to get this 200, 600 out.
And even if they don't, you still have an option at least, you know? Yeah. I wish I could mount that on my Canon camera. I can't. It won't work.
Well, you know, and that adapter doesn't cost very much. And what's a Sony 200 to 600? I don't even know, about $1,800.
It's on sale right now. Yeah. Yeah. So I just wanted to thank you, man, because, you know, it truly has opened up a lot of doors, right, for Nikon folks. And if you're thinking about even doing it with the firmware version 3.0, I didn't try the previous ones. It works incredibly well.
Yeah.
And every function works. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah. Well, just, you know, like I said, I'm in no hurry to get it back. So just keep using it and tell James to keep using it. And
I might take it from him this time. And that might actually push me over the edge to just go and buy a Nikon body and then start playing with it.
Go ahead.
And then if I end up keeping it, I'll just send you the money for it.
Hey, that really, honestly, that ain't a problem. Let me know.
Yeah, but we really appreciate you doing that. It was a great gesture, and I think it's beautiful. And one thing I was sharing, Chuck, yeah, on the live stream last night. I think you might have caught some of this while you were there. When we were out there, James and I probably took a walk for about a mile and a half, 2 miles. We just walked. I don't even know what happened. We just started walking by the old railroad tracks and kept walking. And I don't even remember what the conversation was about. And it wasn't about cameras. But that walk was so profound of two people connecting, and the only thing I can say is, if you're out there and you love photography, find a buddy, go out there and do something with them, right? You can have a lot of fun and get to know each other and just make it exciting.
Yeah.
But, we did have some good moments where we were, busting each other's chops quite a bit. Did you get that? No, you missed it. Hey, look, I got it.
Yeah.
And it's fun to do that. It's a rivalry, but at the end of the day, I was pretty impressed with the Z9. And if you have a Z9, learn it. I'm telling you, it's a incredible machine. Once you learn how to actually tweak that autofocus, and
Yeah.
the 3D auto tracking, for some reason, it's kind of goofy sometimes with the background if it gets busy.
Yeah.
But if you take it out and put it in the whole area, I think it's called wide area something is what the book calls it. I
Yeah.
put it into that and did the animal tracking, and the eye tracking was set to animal, and
Yeah.
it nailed it every time on its own.
Yep.
So it worked flawless.
Yeah. I don't even use 3D tracking.
Oh, you
I
don't?
just
Okay.
No, I don't even use 3D tracking. I have different things set up for different size boxes, and then I actually use a combination of back button and the regular, shutter button focus, depending on what I want to lock it in on.
Yeah.
There's many different. That's the thing about it. There's so many different ways to set
Yeah.
up that camera. It's really a personal
It's a
preference
complex
type.
machine.
It
Yeah,
is. It's a
it is.
complex deal, and it really comes down to your personal preference and what you're used to and what you get used to. It's totally different than shooting a D850 or a D500 or any of that stuff. It's totally
And
different.
one thing for the record, I'll just lay this straight out because a lot of people really have been. There's so much chatter, right? Oh, the Z9 autofocus ain't good enough. It ain't good enough because you haven't opened the manual to read how to use it. I can tell you right now, there is nothing wrong with the Z9 autofocus. Right? It's up to par with the Sony and the Canons. They all miss at the end of the day.
They do.
Right? So,
I've
and
shot
this
them.
is
I've
coming from
shot them
someone
all.
that doesn't even shoot Nikon. I can tell you right now that what we saw it do, even with a third-party adapter, it was incredible on what we were able to do with it. And hopefully, we'll bring back a lot more for you all to actually see this time and actual Eagle action, so you can actually see it and then decide for yourself. What do you think?
Now, if you shoot some video, do me a favor and at least make sure part of the video that you're shooting it in the DX crop mode, so you get that 2.3 times crop on your video.
Good point.
Because your eagles might actually fill half the frame or better, depending, because if you're shooting them without that crop mode, they may be too far away. They're going to look really small. But try
Okay.
that crop mode out, and it'll blow you away.
Okay,
Because
yeah, we
looks
shot some
really
shots
good.
last night, Jeffrey. If you look, some of the DX shots out of that camera were incredible. It's 600, then DX on top of that, going to DX mode.
Yeah.
They looked incredible shots. And if you want to follow the stream, do that. Or if you want to get hold of the actual raw files, I'm sure James can actually share the folder with you, and you can play with them. It was truly incredible. But from a video perspective, I think he got that little gadget that Vahagan got for his phone. So we plan to record the EVF more this time because last time the wind was so brutal we could barely stand and we had to just hold on to the rail to even not fall over.
Yeah.
So hopefully we don't have that this time and we can actually record it for you guys so you guys can actually see it.
Well, cool. I wish I could get out there.
Well, you're welcome anytime. If you want to and you need a place to stay, you have plenty of places to stay here. If you don't want to check into a hotel, just swing on by and we'll take you and have some fun. And I think
Cool.
we're also looking at T-Mid. I don't know if he's in here today,
I
but
saw
we're
him in here
looking at
earlier.
working with him because he lives like 10 minutes from James. Did you know that?
Huh.
He literally lives 10 minutes away.
Oh, I'll be darned.
Yeah, so we're gonna have him shoot our portraits while we shoot actually the birds.
Cool.
So that would be actually kind of a different kind of thing. That'd be fun if we can do that. But I just wanted to come in here and thank you, man, and thank you, Chuck, for the time and popping in there last night. Sorry, there was so much going on with those messages back and forth. I didn't get a chance to see you leave, but I think you came back towards the end as well.
Yeah, I came back for a few minutes right before you guys wrapped it up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I can't really go more than an hour and a half, 2 hours. It gets dawning on me. It's too much for me. I don't know how you do it, man.
Well,
I really appreciate it. But Jeffrey, thank you for your comments as well. They're spot on, and we're really looking forward to actually having you come on and share your Z9 story sometime. Because I want to hear it from a different angle. We need to plan that out. I know we had Baron on yesterday, but whenever you want to come on, share your actual channel and all the images that you got from it. I think people really want to see it, and they really want to see the work from that camera, and it's a beautiful camera. So I've really enjoyed using it, and I just want to lay it again. There's nothing wrong with autofocus. If you think there's something wrong with autofocus of your Z9, you need to do a self check first before you.
And I think everybody that thinks any of these brands are absolutely perfect in all situations and never miss a shot, there is no such thing. So kind of get over it,
Yeah.
Time to get over it.
No, be happy, be proud of what you have. All I can tell you, because from a Nikon front, you guys at least have a flagship. We don't even have a flagship, so you got nothing to complain about, And Nikon really put in their heart and soul into that camera, and you can see it when you hold it. So it truly is an awesome machine, and it's a great value for the money. So if you can afford it, go for it. If you can't afford it, just wait for something else that's going to give you most of the functionality at a fraction of the cost. I'm pretty sure they'll come. So if nothing else, man, thank you, Moots, again, and thank you, Chuck.
all right, buddy.
Nice meeting you as well, and I have to head to another meeting.
All right. Take care.
Take care. Thanks.
Awesome. Talk to you guys soon.
See ya.
Yeah. Have a good one.
All right. All right. Roy Bigsby, I want a Z1. What is a Z1 going to be?
Roy, they're creaming you on fixing your mount, aren't they? I mean, didn't he say it was like $1,100?
Yeah. What would
Australian? Well, what's it in US dollars, Roy? What were they charging you in US dollars to fix that camera, your Z9?
Wow.
But it's really expensive.
Yeah, a Z1 Corvette, absolutely.
Corvetter. Yeah, I wouldn't cry if I had one of those.
All right, so here comes my begging portion of the stream. Appreciate everybody that's in here, always everybody that shows up. Hope everybody enjoys the stream. And if you are enjoying it, please drop a like. It motivates me. And for my beautiful bride, I will ask for subscriptions. If you're not a subscriber, consider it, please. And not just me, but plenty of links down in the description for this stream. A lot of wonderful struggling. That's what we are. The small channels. We're struggling channels. We don't have we don't get the big push from Amazon. That's what I use. A big push from YouTube for our content. So if you would consider subscribing as well, and check out their channels. They have great content that they work hard to make sure that they put out on a regular basis. And none of this is super easy, guys. It takes up so much time. For those of you that don't do anything on YouTube, I mean, you don't have a channel that you provide any content on that channel, you have no idea what goes into something as simple for me. I'm not even doing videos, but for me, even 2 streams a week, all the backstory that goes on, having to keep up with everybody, all the news and everything else. So it does take a lot of time away, but I enjoy it. I'm having fun, and I'm going to continue to do it as long as I have fun. But it is nice to see people that want to subscribe. I promise you this: once I get to 1,000 subscribers, I don't care after that whether I get 1,000,000 or 1,002. I don't care. I want to achieve that goal. One, just because it was a goal I set when I actually started this, and as long as I was having fun. And the other is that then YouTube does a better job of picking up my channel, and same thing for all the guys that are on the screen right now, picking up their content and pushing it out so more and more people can join and become, part of this community that we've all built. I mean, not just here on my channel, but all the people on the screen that you see in here so often. So just consider a subscription, and if you would, drop a like. They don't cost anything, but it does motivate me. And if I get over 50 likes, my wife will let me buy more M&Ms. So that's really the push. All right, guys.
You got to up the ante on that and say if you hit 1,000, she'll let you buy another lens or something.
Well, I don't know if she'll go that far, but she might let me get the bigger bag of M&Ms if I.
Hey, I noticed somebody in the Nikon Amateurs group that you started put a link to that Delkin Black, that 325 gig
Yep.
card and reader. I bought one. It comes with a really nice little reader, and that Delkin Black card is super fast. It's a pretty good deal for
Great.
$249. Of course, now I see that they're out of stock.
Out of stock, yeah.
Hey, while you're on that topic about Nikon Amateurs Group, and I'll throw that up here. Shameless plug, but what the heck? Well, I think I had it. Yeah. I want to say a big thanks to James J Rod Photo Art for starting that real time chat. So there is a chat option on Nikon Amateurs Group. So anybody that's online at any time of the day will show up in that chat or is being available. So if you want to get in touch with anybody that is a member of the Nikon Amateurs Group over there on Facebook, you'll see, and you can message them right then and talk or chat with them or whatever. And absolutely, I'm really happy about that. I'm not a tech wizard. I know you guys never figured that out, right? I'm a tech genius, right? But James did a great job over there as one of the admins and started that up. So again, you can jump over there in Nikon Amateurs Group and stay in touch with everybody that you see. Not everybody that you see in here, but everybody in here is welcome to go over there and join the group, and then you can get in touch with them. I mean, uh, whenever they're on their phone or whatever. So just thought I'd pass that on. And James, hats off, man. Thank you very much. And yeah, I keep checking too. So anybody that wants to join, it's a private group, only for everybody's privacy. It's public but private to join. And if you request to join, I'm sure James would be one of the first to open it up for you. But if he's missed it and I see it as I'm checking Facebook, quite often, and I'll make sure that you're accepted into the group. And there are no requirements. It's just you want to join, and we'll bring you in, and you can be part of that group as well. All right. That said, what else we got? I don't want to. Again, I want to continue to develop this. Again, this is for you guys. You all in the chat. You have a say in where the chat goes. It's just like a group getting together. Just like Amar said, talking about group get-togethers and things like that. Same thing we did down in New York City, and that just goes to show you. We had a photo shoot set up for New York City. For those that don't know, there were 4 of us that met, and we never took a photo. We wound up sitting together in a bar.
Drinking out of camera bodies.
Yeah. But it was one of the best times I've had in photography without taking a photo. And I encourage everybody to do that as well, wherever you're at. Just put the word out, get together. It is a lot of fun. All right. All the admin stuff gone.
Roy Bixby asked a question about that reader that came with that card. It does not read XQD. It's just CFS Express B and SD cards.
Oh, here's a funny story. So I was doing some video on the camera right in front of me here in my streaming setup and just recording to the disc and camera. So I recorded, I don't know how many videos, and I couldn't get it to play back. So I took the card out and put it in the card reader, and it wouldn't recognize the card reader. And I tried and tried, I don't know how many times, rebooted the computer, did everything, and finally got smart enough to look at the card. And for those of you that don't know, an XQD card will fit in a CF Express reader, but it won't read it. So I had tried several times to get it to export the video off of the card until I realized, you idiot, you put a XQD card in the CF Express card reader. So just so you know, it will fit, and it fits well, just like a CF Express card. The reader just can't read it, so you have to have an XQD reader, of course. All right, I just got to tell on myself. Yeah, I have that reader too.
When
But mine doesn't have the lid on it anymore.
Yeah, when Delkin had that sale, I thought about it and I said, well, I usually buy 2 cards at a time. And I said, I don't really want to spend the money on 2, but should I just get 1? And I ended up procrastinating long enough for them to not have any more in stock. So
Mm-hmm. All right. Oh, man. Yeah, Dave will be right back. Unlike me, I can't be bothered to shut the video off. I just hit the mute button whenever I walk away. I don't know how many we have in the chat right now. There are 41 visitors here, 41 viewing, and I appreciate, everybody that drops by. We have a lot of folks that come and go because it's a long stream, as you know. That's what we do. And I'll have people that'll come in and stay for about 40, 45 minutes, and then they go. Other people come in, basically take the place. And it's, it's great because I think the nice thing about going so long is so many other people can join. The only problem with that is a lot of times people want to know or ask questions that have been answered probably 2 or 3 times already because they joined a little bit later. And I've had a lot of people ask me about putting a timeline in. I can't remember what they call it, so that you can just scroll across and look at putting a timeline in. I can't remember what they call it, so that you can just scroll across and look. Hey, that was neat. That was neat. All right. But, think about it. I'd have to watch the whole stream 3 hours and pick and choose the bits and pieces to drop in the timeline. And often it would be the same thing repeated, every 20 minutes or something like that. So, anyway, it is just a live stream, gentlemen, until I can get me an assistant like so many other big YouTubers. So when I hit 1,000 subscribers, I'm going to hire assistants and editors and people to come in and work this full time. All right. Mr. Flintlock, Arthur. Go ahead, Arthur. Arthur, I would say call in, but the bugs have gotten into the audio today, and for whatever reason, my phone isn't working through the Rodecaster Pro. Oh, man. All right, so a lot going on. What's everybody anticipating? Anything coming up other than our big photo review, of course, but anything coming up, anything exciting happening in the camera world or other?
doesn't seem to be much of anything.
Well, we're going to try it again. Hang on. Hang on a minute, buddy. All right, man. Let's see. I don't know if they can hear you. Jeffrey, can you hear?
No.
Help. Help. You there? All right. I don't know why it's not being received. Yeah. Well, there's always going to be latency. That's not the issue. The bigger issue is whether the panelists, people in the panel, and the audience can hear you, and that's the issue I'm having right now. For whatever reason, it just no, no, I didn't. Um, yeah.
Yeah, he came. Mark came on the live stream. Yeah.
So you can hear him now.
Well, I only hear him through your phone.
Okay. All right.
I hear him a little bit through your phone.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. That's the first thing you got to do. If it's working, well, they can't. That's what I'm working on. That's what I'm telling you. So no, I don't know what it is, and I'm not going to go through a whole process of tearing it all apart right now. Right. Hang on a second. Hang on. Just hang on. All right, guys, give me just a minute. Let me reboot my Rodecaster Pro. Dead in the water. Dead air. Okay. All right. Am I back, Jeffrey?
Yep.
All
You're
right.
fine.
Go ahead, Arthur. Let me see if they can hear you.
No.
No. One more thing, and then we're going to give it up because. Oh. Come on. All right, now if it's not working now. It's going to take more investigation. So it's not working, Arthur. Sorry, buddy. Yep. All right, buddy. All right. All right. Bye.
If you don't mind, I'll comment on, he said, I have a question about something you mentioned about focusing in front of a background. And I'm just going to clarify something because a lot of people think 3D tracking really isn't that good. And what I do is I use wide area large as a back button autofocus. So I get my initial lock on my bird in flight. We're going to talk bird in flight here. I lock it on with that, and then I use my shutter button to do 3D tracking, and it works fine. Now, there are times when a background, if it's close, can screw it up. But sometimes I've locked on the eye of a very small bird that's in a bunch of reeds. And yeah, depending on if the bird's head is obscured by the reeds, it'll focus on the reeds. And then when the bird's eye, if there's a gap, it will reacquire the eye. I've had it where it's done that pretty darn good. But I also have like I'm sure Dave's going to say a similar thing. I mean, I got a lot of buttons programmed for a lot of different autofocus modes. I got, a dynamic range set up. I've got my button on my lens for single point autofocus. When I want to use single point, I just push a button on my lens and I'm using single point autofocus. So you just have to be able to adapt to the situation and not freak out. If you're doing something and that particular method isn't working for that particular time, just make sure you have some other options pre-programmed in that you could switch to. And what button you have do what is personal preference. Everybody has different different ergonomically, different ways they like to use their cameras. There's no right or wrong way to do it. It's whatever's right for you. So I never tell anybody what to set what button to do what, because that's personal preference. That's all that is. It's just that you have to understand and make sure you give yourself enough options so that when you do have something that isn't quite working out, you have an option to switch to.
That's just like you say you use some of the dynamic stuff. I have all those disabled. I don't even have those as an option on mine because I don't use the older dynamic style focus points. But some people do. But everybody's different on the way you set it up. You might get you might be able to help somebody out generally, but just to get them kind of going. But they really should try to customize it to their fit.
Yep.
Hey, I want to ask you guys a question. What lens is so incredible, so good that shooting a bird 1,000 feet away, because I hear everybody say, "Look at that eye; it's incredibly sharp." Well, what isn't? When the bird's 1,000 feet away, what lens do you have that will isolate the eye and blur the rest of the bird? I mean, you follow me, because that's just a crazy thing to say. Look at the eye; it's incredibly sharp. Well, I hope so, because so are the claws, the talons,
Yeah,
the feathers.
Sometimes what some people don't like to hear is sometimes you have to stop down with the lens a little bit and not always shoot wide open. I mean, I do shoot wide open a lot, but I'm not afraid to stop it down if I need to.
I stop it down if they're close to you. You have to stop it down if you want more of the bird in focus.
Right.
Mainly on your small, some of your bigger birds, because you'll get the eye in focus, and then everything else will fade off or whatever.
Yeah.
But if it's out at any kind of distance, wide open, the whole bird's going to be sharp.
It's like somebody told me one time, when you're shooting the moon, you need to stop it down to about f/16.
Yeah. No.
And I said, do you know why some people will recommend that? Just because the moon is what, 70% as bright as this, or 60, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
The brightness of the sun or whatever. So I understand that. No, by the way, you don't have to crank up the ISO. And oh, by the way, you don't have to take a long exposure unless you want a big white blur in the center of your photo. But yeah, well, the surface of the moon's so big, buddy. I got news for you. You ain't got a lens that can pinpoint one little divot in the moon, and the rest of it goes to blur.
No,
you're not gonna find the flag that may or may not still be stuck in the ground.
But this is a topic that some people, not this, but this goes along with the topics a lot of people would like to talk about. Is talking about that. How does depth of field work in a lens? And so many people are not exactly sure of how it works.
Yeah.
And, here you go. This is an f4 lens. Watch this. Let me if I can get it to look at the photo at the end of my fingers. Now watch this when I put it back on. See, that's an f4 lens. It's not a kit lens. It's the 14-30, but I can get a blurred background with it if I can get the subject close to the lens and get the background far away. So what does that mean? How does that work? And I think a lot of people don't understand that. And like when I was talking about the background's blurry and you're shooting a bird, well, of course it's going to lock on the bird. It's the only thing in the frame that it sees as having lines or a contrast or whatever. Of course it will work well there. But if you have, and this is why you buy those lenses, because if you do that with a 1:400, all the trees back there, they're not blurred to a point of just jello. There's still contrast in the trees.
Yeah, you can tell there's a tree there.
Yeah.
Well, and still, even with that lens, it depends on subject to background distance.
Yeah,
you can use a 100 to 400 or whatever, and if the background's far enough out, it'll be blurred out.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's just it. Everybody should just think of it that way. If you want a blurred background, make sure it's as far away from your subject
Yeah.
as you can get it, because then the depth of field really begins to show. And whatever lens you're using, even at f8, you can. You
Yeah.
know,
Oh yeah.
I had the TC2X on my 1:400, and at 400 millimeter, which was then is 800 millimeter, I could get a blurry background by putting uh, a flower, right in front of the lens, and the woods are just about 15 feet away, and they're blurred. Just because of the closeness of the subject to the lens or the camera, and the distance from the subject to the background. And I just don't know that everybody understands that. Sometimes everybody talks about, oh, I caught the eye. Well, the nose is in focus too, because you're shooting at f5.6 or f8 in a studio. Well, guess what? It's not hard to get the eye. If you hit the face, you're going to get the eye in focus, tack sharp at f8. But anyway, these are some of the things, and I've had people talk about. Why don't you talk about these things? Tips and whatnot for helping others to learn their craft. And
Yeah,
again,
there's plenty of stuff online to just search depth of field, and
yeah,
there's some real good stuff on there that explains it, just with figurines stacked in a
Yeah.
line,
yeah,
focusing, and yeah, a lot of people don't understand depth of field, and
Get
that's
yeah,
get out your old army soldiers and put them on a desk and space them a foot
yeah,
apart, and
yeah.
you could have a lot of fun fooling around with that.
Unfortunately, with wildlife, you can't control a lot of that. You're at the
right.
mercy of whatever you're taking a picture of, and how close they are to the background, and you just work with what you got.
Yeah, and you can make it work with what you got if you can set the parameters, or if you're fortunate enough to find the parameters, in a given situation, especially when it comes to wildlife. And I was talking to Arthur about that last night. We were talking about, all the points to take away from being a wildlife shooter. And as I was explaining to him, I enjoy being in wildlife or out in nature. It's more of a therapy session for me, whether I get an opportunity to take a photo of something or not. It's just being out there and being in the quiet, being away from the rat race and everything else. So I'm not one of those people that feels like when I come home and I don't have a photo, well, it was a waste of time. It wasn't for
Yeah.
me, because that wasn't the ultimate reason for me going out there. But then again, as I explained to him, I'm not getting up at the crack of dawn to go shoot a photo of a
Ah,
moose,
come on. There's nothing like being in the dark when you
to,
start off your
to,
day.
to shoot a photo of a moose. I mean, I love seeing your all's photos of that, but Chuck's not traipsing out there at the crack of dawn, and say, look at my photo of my moose.
Yeah, it's not for everybody.
Right, right. And we were talking about that too, and then the discussion started about what's more difficult, shooting people or wildlife. And you know what? If you shoot people, you're going to say people. If you shoot wildlife, you're going to say
Yeah,
wildlife.
yeah,
That's just the way it is. But that's not true. All of them are equally as difficult, not physically. Okay. I hand it to you nuts that go traipsing up the mountains to shoot the ram, that the elusive whatever ram or whatever. But every you can't be great at all genres of photography. We talked about that last night. So I'll throw all this out there, and you guys just kind of decide on what you'd like to talk about. And I invite you, Jeff, and Dave to pick up on this. You know, I can take portraits all day long for social media. I can do that all day long. I can set lights up in about 5 minutes and have you a portrait that's just a blah bland, nice portrait. Whatever, technically correct and everything else. Great exposure, but for me, that's no fun. I want shadow. I want all the drama I can get
yeah,
into that portrait. I'm not the guy at the post office taking your passport photo.
yeah,
But so, what does it take to do that? You may think, some people may think, well, you just set the lights up. No, there's a whole lot more to that, and playing with lights and using flags and so many other ways to achieve the lighting that you want.
Hey Chuck, didn't the best portrait photographers start off working at the DMV?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. Very nice people they are.
Yeah.
Not. If you want to meet angry people, angrier than YouTube people, people that are angrier than YouTube folks, go to the DMV. There you go. I think that's where all the YouTube people come from. Is
Yeah.
DMV. But and wildlife photography, and he was pointing out, and I'm no expert at it. Lighting, scouting, so that you know which way the light is going to strike, whatever you're going to shoot, knowing what that subject or that animal does, what its habits are, or whatever. The only thing I know about bird photography is a hawk's going to crap right before it takes off from a branch. I learned that much. If he's on a branch, you better get your photo because once he drops a load, he's gone. That's it. That's all I know. But you know, so what I'm getting at is you can't possibly be great at everything. The closest there might be to that is Joe McNally as a generalist. But most of us, myself included, I like to shoot all these things. But then again, I'm not putting forth all the effort that a lot of you guys put into shooting wildlife or birds or whatever. Again, Chuck ain't getting out of bed while there's still frost on the ground to go out and take pictures of pigeons and goats or rams or moose or whatever. Um, I got to do enough of that in the army. Yeah, I know Flintlock. He wants to talk. um, but hey, you know what? At least I'm bringing up what you talked about last night too. So again, we need to have conversations like that. I will absolutely agree. Yeah, Andy, Joe McNally is going to be on Gray's Friday morning live stream. And that ought to be interesting too. If they, you know what, Andy, at the sake of ticking everybody off, if they can quit slobbering over him long enough, if it turns into a slobber fest, oh, you're the greatest, and blah blah blah, yada yada yada, you know, we know who Joe McNally is. Just acknowledge him and then pick his brain. That's what I want to hear. But anyway, these are conversations that we can have on here, folks. And if you guys have questions about it, by all means, bring them up. And there's plenty of expertise again in the chat, in the audience, and up here on the panel. Myself not included. I'll abstain from all that techie stuff or whatever, all the whatever, because I shoot from the or fly from the seat of my pants. That's just the way I do things. And I was asking, here's another one. I was asking Arthur last night, can you explain the inverse square law? And and we kind of got off track. I'm not talking about for wildlife photography. Obviously, there is no such thing, or you can't apply the inverse square law. I guess you can, but how much farther can you get from the sun at any given moment to apply the inverse square law? But I can do it. I know what it means and I know how to utilize it, but I can't explain it numerically or other. Um, and I'm just not the person that would teach that the technical side of the inverse square law. And there are a lot of people that are technically proficient, and we had this conversation. I'll throw it out here, and I'm going to shut up in just a second and let you guys tear me apart or tear these subjects apart. There are people that are extremely technically proficient photographers. I mean, they technique is easy for them, and they can point out everything you do technically wrong in a photo, but they can't take a photo to save their life. It's technically correct, but it's blah.
Well,
It,
just like you have people who are book smart, but then they can't
well,
replace a switch in their
but
house.
it is different. It is different here, Jeffrey, because they don't have creativity. They're not a creative person. Now they'll argue with you and tell you they are, but you look at their photos, they're technically proficient. But you're looking at it and going, yeah, yeah, okay, it's right, it's correct, it's exposed right, it's everything. But this is the part everybody complains about me talking about gear. We have lost the art of photography, and only pros can talk. Only pros have a voice because they're technically proficient. Some of the best photographers out there aren't technically proficient per se, but they're very creative. And I don't know how many times I've seen times where, oh shoot, what's his name? Shebang, a headshot photographer. Um, and people would ask him, is he's demonstrating how he takes headshots and things like that, how he interacts with the people in, his clients or whatever. And they ask him questions. They go, "Well, how far is the light from the subject?" He go, "Oh, well, about this far." And he'll tell you, "People, I don't know. I don't know how far it is. I just know because I can see it." Well, that's the creative mind. He has seen the end state before he took the picture. Analytical photographers don't do that. It's all by the books, all by the numbers, and everything else. So I guess we've lost the art of photography. We critique photographs for technical merit, but not for, man, I just like that.
Hey, some of the most creative pictures were taken by accident.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm sure somebody got great pictures and they said, "How in the heck did I get that? I didn't have the camera set right, but boy, does it look good."
Yep. Thank you, Andy, for his name. I don't know why it escaped me there, Peter Hurley. But
Yeah.
so I think that's what sets our little review apart from a full on critique. And I know, and I've had people tell me, well, some people want a critique. All you got to do is ask for a critique. There, there are more than enough people that are willing to critique. But sometimes it's just, I can look at a photo and within a second I can tell you I like it or I don't. Has nothing to do with technique. It appeals to me or it doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just art. And for me, um, and no matter how technically correct it is, sometimes it's like, yeah, all right. It's just like a standard portrait for somebody, for maybe a social media or something else. Those photos are a dime a dozen. They're snapshots to me. It's just like, bam, there, you got it, you're good. And but the creative portraits, those are the people that are pouring themselves into being able to connect with the model or with the person. And models are easy, by the way, because they know what they're doing. But go get somebody that's less than stellar looking, and I'm not saying this to be derogatory, but and they need a portrait. They want a portrait for a loved one or whatever. Now you're either going to shine or fail, and it's up to you to be able to talk that person into the photo that they want. And a lot of people say, "Well, I can set lights up." Lights are only part of it. It's connecting with that individual. We don't talk about those kind of things all the time, and it's partly my fault. So I'm throwing all this stuff out there, guys. There's plenty to talk about. Anybody has any questions where they struggle with something, bring it up. And I'm not saying I can answer it all. I can't, but there are plenty of people here that can, and we can start to help each other out. All right, I'm gonna turn it over to you, David and Jeffrey. You guys, I mean,
Well, Ray made a comment. He says, "Oh, we've been to the moon," question mark type of thing. And it's like, well, if you ever saw that, remember that movie Capricorn 1 where they kind of, the whole movie was about, we never really got there.
Yeah.
And that had OJ Simpson in it, in his starring role, He went from jumping over suitcases in the airport commercials to making it on that movie somehow.
Yeah, Mike, I saw it, and I can't say that I agree with it, but yeah, talked about it a little bit earlier. It was a lot of miscommunication there.
Yeah, with that, to me, it's like everybody has a right to their opinion, and everybody doesn't have to agree with it. Simple as that. Everybody can have a different opinion.
Yeah. Lord knows I've definitely taken some ballistic missiles for my gear talk.
And and lots of times there's a little bit of truth on each side of it. So it's like, as they say, as being a comic book geek, as the infamous Stan Lee used to say, "Nuff said." That was his end line. "Nuff said."
Artemis 3, wow. Man. Oh. Oh, shoot. All right. So anyway, I don't have the phone working. Sorry. Slapped me. I don't know what happened. Didn't touch a thing. Set everything up as usual, but it decided that it didn't want to work. So I'll try to get that sorted out. Not in the live stream. What kind of questions you folks got? Ask. Throw it out there. Let's see if we can help. We tried to help Nancy with her flash, and oh well. I don't know that we answered it or not. I can't remember.
Only thing I found was, that people are talking about that specific flash in the DP review forums. She might do some searching in there. Maybe they can answer her question there, or maybe it's been answered. I don't use flash, so I can't help anybody with that.
All right.
Yeah. What do you call it? Nikon USA was selling refurbed SB 700 the other day for $179. That's a steal if you needed an extra flash and you wanted that type of flash. If you wanted a speed light, $179 for that is a bargain.
Yeah, we tried talking about flash, maybe not in the best way, but again, this is a roundtable conversation. There are hundreds of videos out there on every subject under the moon on YouTube where you
Yeah.
get talked to, and and so many of them are very well done. So it's easy to follow, easy whatever. And I would encourage everybody to go out and search whatever particular topic. This is more just an opportunity to ask some of the people maybe something off the top of your head. You're not going to go research it on YouTube, but hey, what about this, or how does this work, or how does that work? And there are plenty of people in here that can answer those questions, and we can just talk about photography. So again, I really want to get back to that as well. Where are you going to shoot? What are you shooting? And an opportunity to share some of this stuff with each other. That may, if it gets too boring, then I'll just go on a rant. I can always do that. Rants are easy. Nikon provides plenty of opportunities for me to rant.
I threw away my rant meter paper because you've been so good lately. I figured I'll throw it away.
I know.
Threw it out.
I did get triggered when Sanjit was on the exhibition floor there in Bangkok, and Nikon had a stool and a plastic setup table for a booth, and Canon had half the building and Sony had the other half. Yeah, I got a little.
Joe Mack asked if you've tried to display a panoramic in the stream. I'm assuming for the photo review. He's wondering how big a file to send and if you can show it.
Yeah.
I know you want 2048 on the long edge. I don't know how that affects panos.
Well, the only problem with it is I'm not going to be able to get it all on the screen. We can always move around, I guess, move it around so that we can look at it. And that's what you really want to do with a pano, because you want to be able to zoom in areas and look at it.
It's probably doable if he wants to send one in. I think it's worth a shot.
Yeah, we can try it. Absolutely, Joe. Send it. If I can download it, we're good. And I'll let you know if I have any trouble. I don't know how big a file it would be. Mike Farwell. Oh, wait a minute. D-Moots.
What? Soft? No, it has nothing to do with softness. It's just the older DSLR style focusing.
That's the D850 method.
Yeah, it's the D850 method, and really, I don't. For me and what I shoot, I don't find it. There's no benefit to it. There's plenty of other focusing methods to use besides the dynamic ones. That's just the way the D850 focused.
Well, and depending Yeah, depending on your subject and background, the problem I had with it is you don't know exactly where it's focusing sometimes. If it's
Yeah,
a if it's a busy background, and it'll show up as focused because you've got dots on the subject,
yeah,
and then you take the photo and you look at it, and why is it so soft? Well,
yeah. And that may be his problem if he's using that, is it's not locking on to where he thinks it should lock on, and that's why I don't use that, because the newer focusing methods, they work better.
and Andy says it worked. It's a safety net, and that's great. If it's working for you, I wouldn't say don't do it.
No,
I'm with
I,
you, Dave. I don't use it
yeah.
for that specific reason. But then again, maybe if I was somewhere else when I shooting or whatever, it may work well. And I would say a bird in flight would probably be a great thing. But who wants a bird with a blue sky? That's all there is. Is a blue sky. I'm sorry. Hey, you know what? Good on you. You got a cracking shot there as far as the pose of the bird and the sharpness of everything. But it's meh. It's a bird on a blue background. But then again, that's just me, man. That's one of those photos. In a second, I can say, yeah, okay, next.
Jeff and Leslie's taking off. Have a good one, guys.
See
All
ya.
right.
Take care.
Take care, guys. Thanks for being in here today. That's why when I was having so many problems with the Z9 early on, and everybody was basically telling me not to my face, I kept quiet about it, but everybody was saying, "Well, it's your fault. It's your fault. It's your fault." Well, no, it wasn't my fault. And Nikon did come up with a bug fix for the background problem. And I don't know how many times I struggled trying to get a friggin' shot of a bird sitting on a branch in brush. And everybody said, well, in that situation, well, it wasn't from a D5, okay? But this is what I did to try to figure out if it was me or the camera, is I went to single point focus, and I still had a problem with it. If it didn't lock on the bird, and I know it sounds crazy, how could it not? Because you put the single point on the bird, but it would go to the background and it would not. You couldn't force it to come back to the bird. I think
Oh yeah,
Jeffrey, you
yeah.
had that problem
Yeah,
too.
yeah. I had issues in the beginning, and I forget who I was talking to. I mean, I almost think if Nikon wasn't under such pressure at the time to come out with something, they were getting beat to death. I don't have to tell you guys that.
Yeah,
I mean, I really think that if they weren't getting beat to death, I think the Z9 would have came out with the autofocus like at that firmware 2.1 stage when it got released.
yeah,
I think it got kicked out a little early because they had to get something out. And thankfully, and good for them, they didn't screw us. And they keep updating the firmware. They keep making it better and better and better. And at this point, it's on par, pretty darn near with everybody else. So it's and they keep updating stuff. So, but the first time when it first came out, yeah, it was maybe 90% of the competition. It wasn't like at that same point, but they had to get something out. I mean, they were in dire straits. They needed to get something out, and I understand why they did it. But hopefully, that doesn't end up being a pattern. Hopefully, down the road, everything's going to come out, and no one's going to say, "Oh, gee, they kicked it out the door a little too early." Hopefully they. I don't expect them to do that again, because right now, if you roll what's in the Z9 for AF into any new body, nobody's going to complain.
I see Andy's got a question there. I'm trying to think of a situation where, my style of shooting, very, very rarely, if ever, do I have 5 birds in a frame that I'm trying to shoot. But I use 3 different modes on my camera for the most part. I use single point for a lot of static subjects that aren't doing much. And I use wide area AF, one of the large or small group. And then I also use the subject detection, and I have that set up on 2 different buttons. Like a lot of times I'll have my white area on the front shutter button to initially engage with it. And then once I engage with whatever I'm photographing, I'll lock it in with subject detection on my back button focus. So, I guess maybe I'm never in a situation where I have 5 birds sitting somewhere that I need to pick a specific one out. Um, I'm just trying to think of something that I've shot. I don't typically shoot that type of stuff. So maybe I guess if I had 5 of the same birds on a perch, which I rarely try to take those shots or even mess with that. Um, subject detection works pretty good, and you can move it from bird to bird and just lock it in, and then recompose if you have to. But really, for my wildlife photography, I'm only using basically 3 different methods.
Yeah, I'd like to believe that's it, Phil, and hopefully so. Um, yeah, a lot of people still disagree with me on my speculation of a couple of things about what's going on with Nikon. But anyway, hopefully they've got it all out, and at least Nikon has shown now they're willing to do all these firmware updates, not just bug fixes, but adding features as you go. So that's good.
Yeah, the only thing I quite don't get is, and for me, 20 frames per second, I don't shoot that a lot at 20. I mean, I'll shoot at 12 a fair amount of time. I'll do 20 certain times, certain conditions. But with all the, back and forth, oh, what the Sony can do 30 frames a second. It's like, well, it's not at the same bit rate when it's shooting at 30 frames per second. It's like 10 bit, not 12 bit or whatever. But, Nikon could easily, I would think, through firmware, by doing a similar thing and changing the bit rate or whatever, make it so the Z9 can shoot 30 frames a second with no problem at all. I mean, the power of the processor is more than adequate to be able to do that. But they're not. But I'm kind of surprised that they didn't do something like that just to kind of shut the critics up a little bit.
Well, what if they do down the road, and then the Z8 all of a sudden becomes your 20 frames and your Z9 becomes your 30?
Yeah. I'm just saying they could do it if they wanted to. That's I guess my opinion anyway. They could do it if they wanted to.
Well, what do you guys think about it? Because I'm kind of concerned because a few people seem to speak as if Nikon's going to play the cripple hammer with what comes up next. And, everybody's afraid if you steal anything from the Z9 that it's going to cripple. Why would they do that? So I guess in essence, what they're saying is even though tech is there that they could use, they won't use it.
I think they'll do a little. I think they'll do a mini cripple, but then they'll do some hardware improvements. They might put in a better EVF. They might put in a higher resolution rear screen. They might do things like that. But I mean, I don't know that they're going to do 8K 60 in the smaller body.
No,
They'll do 8K 30. So they will cripple it a little bit, but then they will also put some stuff in it that won't be in the Z9, and that's life. That happens all the time. It's
I'll hold you right there and let David speak to that too. But I agree with you, and a lot of people are arguing they won't do that. I disagree. I mean, that's when I'm talking about the cripple hammer. You have the tech; it's available. It's better than what's in the Z9 right now. I'm not talking about a major thing.
Yeah.
But I don't know what's left other than, major things. But are they going to hold that back and say, no, we're not going to put it in these cameras?
Well, I mean, they've obviously, Z9s are on the shelf now. You can get them.
Yeah.
So people that are buying the Z9s have bought their Z9s. So if they come out with a Z8 and it's got some better features, but still doesn't have stuff the Z9 has. It's not going to kill the Z9, but it's bound to have something different, perhaps a little better in it, but yet still be somewhat crippled. Otherwise, why make the camera? I mean, you might as well, if you're going to make it totally better than the Z9, now you're talking, okay, now here's our Z1.
Well, how do you guys in the audience and you David and you Jeffrey, how do you respond to those that say it's got to match something, like match the R5 or match the A7R5 or A75? When people speak that way, it has to match. How do you feel about that?
Well, I mean, I guess depends on, they all right now are so similar between all the manufacturers
Mm-hmm.
that, I would say they all pretty much match now. Each one has its pros and cons a little bit here and there. Does a new Z8 have to match a specific camera? Probably not match, but it's got to be. It's more like, and it's the trend for these manufacturers anyway. They try to put out their model against another model of another brand. They do that anyway on their own. It's not going to match exact, but
It'll be competitive.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, let me clarify then.
Or sometimes better.
Yeah.
Well, and that's where I'm going. Shouldn't it be better than an existing camera? Because the Z8 comes out next month. Let's just say it comes out next month. Should it match the specs of the R5? Should it match the specs of the Sony A7 V? I say no. I say it has to exceed, because you're going to have that body for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, maybe 4 years. I don't know, depending on how Nikon sets up their updates. So are you going to give us a camera, Nikon, that just matches what's available now, knowing that they're getting ready to update those cameras? Do you see what I'm saying?
Well, I mean, the A7R5 just came out. It's
Yeah.
61 megapixels. So, say the Z8's kind of come out and it's going to be or a Z7 III, whatever. It's going to be the new high megapixel Nikon.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're probably going to try to match that sensor. Will they try to exceed it? I doubt it. I mean,
it all depends on when their design had to be locked in. If somebody said every camera manufacturer isn't on the same cycle in terms of when they put out a camera, and they may have an idea of what the competition's doing, but they don't know it bullet by bullet every little thing they're going to do. So at some point, Nikon, whether it be Nikon or Sony, they lock in the design and they say, okay, we can't make any hardware changes at this point. We may be able to sneak in some firmware changes.
Yeah.
But then if somebody comes out with another brand comes out with a model, and like Dave's saying, okay, they got a 61 megapixel sensor. It all depends. If Nikon locked in on a certain model using a 47 megapixel sensor, they can't just flip a switch and change it to 61. So you really don't know. You don't know when everybody says you got to beat somebody else. I'm sure they're thinking you hope they're forward thinking and they're trying to anticipate things, but they could get caught with their drawers down once in a while because at some point in time, they got to lock in the design.
Well, there has to, for it to be, the way it was anyway, they have to leapfrog. It can't just land on top of somebody,
No, they're going to have something that's better.
It has to, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nikon did it with the Z9. They came out with a totally shutterless camera. They did that
at a crazy price point.
and a crazy price point.
Uh-huh.
So what can they do next? I don't know.
So why do you think that Nikon pros are so afraid of, or to speak of, things like things like a Z8? Let's just use the Z8 for a minute. A Z8 that has some bells and whistles or technology that the Z9 doesn't have. I kind of understand, everybody's worried about, and you see Phil's comment here, new camera should crush a Z9. I hope so. that'll bring Nikon back at the top. While I agree with you, there are going to be a whole lot of people that bought Z9s that are not going to be happy.
Yeah, because you're going to be, you pay $5,400 for a Z9, and say a $4,000 Z8 that crushes the Z9 comes out. People are going to be, what the heck,
So how does the company manage that?
You got buyer's remorse is what you have at that point.
Well,
I agree with you, Phil. It is a bit hard to chew for some people. Not me. I got a Z9, but I'm with you. I'd like a Z8 that crushes it. It sounds crazy, but I'm okay with that. But I don't think that's going to happen either, though.
and I don't know the technical stuff of the Z9, but does the Z9 have more in it than what they've given us so far? Do they have some major firmware update that they're holding back on that they're going to release when they come out with a new camera that puts the Z9 even that much further ahead than, say, a Z8, but the Z8 is at the Z9 level? I don't know that. I don't know the answer to that. I don't know if there's anything left in that camera to pull out like that or not. What it would be.
Yeah.
I mean, it can't be resolution, but it could be frames per second, maybe especially in the video modes,
Well, you could go and do that pre-release or whatever, and have it and make it so it works with RAW files, not just JPEGs. You could do a whole bunch of things they could still do, and that would give them a more of a differentiation between the Z9 and whatever model comes out next.
Well, there you go. Phil's talking about the A1. The A1's been around now, what, almost 2 years now? Or am I a little
two or
it's 2.5 or whatever? Yeah.
Okay, and it stood the test of time. Would we agree?
Oh yeah, it's a very good camera.
Then Nikon should be doing the same thing with any cameras that come out, because you don't want something that's going to supersede it in a year or a few months or whatever, because the R5 II is going to come out. The R what is it? The R2 or whatever they're going to call it. Their base model.
R1. The R1, right?
Well, no, everybody's waiting for the R1. There's a big, the big discussion is when it will happen, but when. But is it the R6 too? I don't know. So my point is that a lot of people just say it's got to be, it has to compete with the R5. I disagree. It has to exceed the R5 is my point, I guess, because it needs some room to mature as it goes along without being taken out 8 months later by an update to the R5. I'm just using the R5 as an example.
Well, that's why I say, maybe the Z9's got more under the hood than we think, and they can magically do something with firmware, and push it out even further. I mean, it is already a beast of a camera. You can virtually unlimited video recording, which was unheard of. No mechanical shutter. It is a beast.
So I would agree with this as well. One, they're going to have to put the XP7 processor in all the cameras that come out, the 6.3, 7.3, and the Z8. I think that's a given. I don't know why they would go back to the XP6 for them. So the XP7 processor is a big part of its capability, the Z9's capability. We agree on that?
Yeah.
I mean, if it wasn't for the XP7 processor, you wouldn't get 120 frames per second for I'm talking about
it's the processor and the sensor, the way
ABF and whatever. All right.
Yeah.
So Joe says that he thinks it should match the Z9 to be competitive with other brands as far as AF goes. Right. I agree. I don't know. Do you dumb down AF? I think AF ability needs to be on par, identical, if not better, than the Z9. Now, the difference I would agree with is maybe not as fast as far as frames per second and things like that. But how do you dumb that? How do you decide what to take away from those lower tier cameras, and how are people going to take that? You got this tech. Why can't I have it? Because, and I think one of the things that hurts Nikon is not literally hurts them right now, but is that Canon has done that. They brought that AF down into those prosumer bodies. And how do
Yeah.
you have to do that, don't you? Doesn't
Yeah,
Nikon do
that's a
that?
given. They have no choice. They have to do that. That's one reason why I mean I would have loved to bought another body with these sales, but for what I am predominantly shooting right now, I'm not going to use one of those other bodies. If it had a Z9 autofocus in it, I'd scoff it up like that.
And you bring up something I've been preaching, as you know, Jeffrey, because people would get mad at me. I did get a lot of emails on this talking down the Z6 II, Z7 II. In other words, saying that Nikon only has one camera in its full frame lineup right now, and that's the Z9. And everybody got mad. No, you got the Z6 II, the Z7 II.
It's
The proof is a lot of people aren't buying those. They're waiting for. Now, why
Yeah.
is that?
yeah,
Because they want this tech, just like Canon has done and Sony has done with
yeah.
their lower tier models, and that's what they're waiting for. Nothing wrong with the Z6 II, nothing wrong with the Z7 II, but it doesn't compare to the tech that we have right now. Not just Nikon, but Canon and Sony and
Yeah.
others as far as AF goes. AF is not everything. Got it, folks. But tell me you're going to go buy an inferior AF camera. Tell me that, and then I'll listen to your discussion, your argument.
And
Yeah.
the
No, I
thing,
mean you're right. Canon did that. They started putting their autofocus tech in their lower end cameras, and that's what's made them become hot sellers. And Nikon has to at least do that to
yeah.
make it. You know, there's other ways to cripple a camera so it's not as good as the Z9, but AF is not where you do it.
No, you could cut down on the video a little bit. You could even I'm not going to say I would like to see this, but they could always do the split card BS where you got one CFEB and you got one SD
Yeah.
card, which
Yeah.
I personally don't care for. I like the cards to be the same, but they could do that, and then they can lower the frames per second, like David
Take care,
says.
Mark.
They could do things.
Take care, Mark. Glad to see you in here. Yeah. Yeah, and I didn't mean to
the
turn this.
autofocus has to be on par.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. You know, and again, we excuse me, we have fought over this and fought over this and fought over AF. Why is it AF? And you know, I understand somebody that is and don't take this the wrong way, people. If you're strictly a landscape photographer, I understand a landscape photographer saying, "Well, I don't care." I mean, because that's all they do, and you know, AF
Yeah.
and AF
They may
speed.
be manually focusing anyway.
Yeah, none of that means anything to them.
Yeah.
And okay, I get that. And they get tired of hearing it. But the one thing that we do know is in advertising, AF is at the top of the board. It gets a big headline. AF for any camera. What's the first thing everybody's talking about is the AF. And again, I'm not saying, you know, I wish everybody was as accepting and okay with or whatever as some of the people that, you know, why do we talk about AF? Why has it got to be AF? Blah 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 blah. Unfortunately, in the marketing world, that is part of what sells the cameras.
Yeah.
Okay?
Oh yeah.
And you know what? If you want Nikon to sell more cameras, or maybe you don't care if they sell more cameras, I don't know. But if you want them to sell more cameras, then these are the things that Nikon need to do. That's just the way it is. You may not like it, but they've got to sell these certain aspects of a camera to get more and more people to pick it up. My stepson right now is asking me, he wants to buy a new camera or just a vlogging camera, but he wants to be able to shoot stills, you know, from time to time because he's doing all video work right now. He wants it as a B-roll camera is what he's looking for. And he was asking me about the Z30, and he asked me about the Canon R10, and you know, one of the ZV101 1110X41 whatever Sony models, because there's like 18 of them, and there's nothing wrong with them. I'm just saying I can't remember the nomenclature for all of them. And you know, I said, well, you know, my thing is I shoot Nikon, but I'm not going to tell you what to shoot. What are you favoring? And he says, I'm favoring, believe it or not, the R10. And I asked why. And he said because the Nikon only shoots, the Nikon Z30 only shoots 4K 30. Now, before everybody jumps off a bridge and aims their gun at me, this is something you really need to understand. Video is here to stay whether you like it or not. And
Oh
it
yeah.
is what's selling cameras today. And a vlogging camera is a vlogging camera. And you may say, and you can see this all day long, and I'll tell you, you don't need a 20 megapixel camera. You need a 45 megapixel camera. We can argue about that. But my point here is you can say that he doesn't need a 4K. He doesn't need 4K 120 or 4K 60. Yeah, that's what he was asking for. Or 4K 120. I can't remember. But the Z30 doesn't do it. And people say, well, he doesn't need it. Well, he's been using it. Okay, he's been using that with a friend's camera, and that's what he wants. And there's so many other vloggers, not just vloggers. When you see vloggers, you got a lot of people that are making shorts and films. I brought this up before. So anyway, a long story short is, I said, well, I can't help you with that. It's what they did with the Z30. It's fine for streaming, of course, but not necessarily for video making for what they want to use the camera for.
Yeah.
These are the things that aggravate me when, everybody you bring it up. Nikon needs to do this. No, they don't. They don't need no video. They need stills only camera. I wish those people would go back to film. I really do. I mean, and if you're in the audience and you shoot, all stills, you don't care about video, as long as you don't whine about it and complain about it like so many others do. You
Well,
want a still only camera. I would go, for those that complain about it all the time, go back and get you a film back
that's
camera.
probably one guarantee you can make is every Nikon camera coming out is going to have video features for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
not going to go backwards. There's no
No.
way.
And because you know what, we're older,
The young people are not going to do without it.
there you go. There you
That's
go.
right.
Period.
That's the and here's another thing they don't want to hear is Nikon needs to be courting that generation,
Yeah.
not us. That generation.
Yeah.
That's the long term sales for them down the road. I know I tick a lot of people off with some of these comments, but
Well, when you talk autofocus, and I'll use me as an example. When I lived in Connecticut, I never shot birds. Okay, I went to Maine, I went to New Hampshire, I lived in New England, I did landscapes, I did seascapes, I did macro. Once in a while, I would do some car racing, that type of thing. Okay,
Yeah.
So the thing that people should think about now, if I had a profession and I'm a wedding camera, okay, yeah, I could get by perfectly fine with a Z6 too. Okay, more than adequate for portraits, more than adequate for weddings, not an issue, blah, blah, blah. But when you talk about autofocus and people poo-poo it and say, well, I don't need the autofocus. If you ever move like I did, okay, I moved down here, and unless I want to drive a long distance, I'm not going to get pictures of farmland. I'm not going to get pictures of old barns that I like to take pictures of, or dilapidated gas stations and stuff like that. I got to drive hours away to get that. Okay. But what I could get within 30 minutes of my house is all the birds I'd ever want to take a picture of.
Yeah.
So your genre, over time, your genre may change. Your needs may change. You move. If I lived near Yellowstone, you think I wouldn't want to take pictures of the elk and the moose and everything else that's in there? I mean, my genre would change because that's where I live now.
Yeah.
So you don't think you need it, but if you move somewhere else, you may not be able to shoot what you always shot because it's not there where you moved. You have to now shoot something different.
Yeah.
And you might need the autofocus. So you got to think about that too.
Well, whether you need it or not, again, it's back to marketing and marketing.
Yeah.
That's one of the big things for marketing. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. And I want Nikon to sell more cameras. Why? It provides more opportunity for them to produce. I don't know whether they're ever going to up their production capability, but you know what? They're never going to if they don't have the funds to do it. So, yeah, selling more cameras is good for all of us. And, that and however you market depends on how many cameras that you're actually selling. You had something you wanted to chime in with, David?
I was just gonna say, I'm only a Nikon shooter because the very first camera I bought happened to be a D3200 kit camera for my wife, actually. And you start growing with what you buy, and the next thing you know, you start buying better lenses, and then you get into, or you're married to that system. Now, I was on the verge of switching from a Z9 or from Nikon to one of the other brands, but I was still heavily invested in lenses. And then, bam, the Z9 came out, so it kept me there. Um, it's that's what happens to a lot of people. I like the other brands. There's lots of features for Canon and Sony that I like.
I agree,
Um,
but often we're attacked because we say things like that, like, "No,
yeah,
they're
yeah.
stupid."
No,
And
there's
I'd like to
and I've
dispel that too and throw that
and I've
away.
shot
Why
the
can't
I've
we
shot the
brag about
A1, I've shot the R5. I haven't shot a lot of the Canon stuff, but they're all great cameras, and I could have easily switched to any one of them and probably been perfectly happy. I just happened to be totally invested in Nikon glass.
it? Yeah. Rakesh, and I agree with a lot of this, but I don't know. There is one thing that I hear, quite a few people talking about. A lot of people want is the larger frame for either the Z8 or all other bodies that come out. Here the Z6 III, Z7 III, and the Z8. I don't know if we're going to see a bigger frame or not. I don't know. And how does everybody feel about Nikon just sticking with the size frame that they have right now with the Z6 III, Z7, or the Z 6 and 7 series, the Z8 carrying the same frame?
I'm not going to cry either way. I'm more than happy with what I have with the Z9. If they go bigger, they go bigger. I don't have any say in that. They're going to do what they do. I just hope that if they do it, they still maintain that high efficiency star option so that if you start adding more megapixels, my file size doesn't go bonkers.
Well,
Because I'm,
somebody brought up a good point on that. Nikon has that ability too. They can perfect that for lower resolution. How did he put it? You remember the old small, medium, large that we had?
yeah, your raw, small, medium, large, you could dumb it down.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
I agree with that. That is a
yeah.
possibility. If they go to 61 megapixel, I definitely hope that they do something like that. I don't look. I don't want a 61 megapixel camera. I I just don't want one. I'm not saying Nikon shouldn't make it. Absolutely, they should, because there are a lot of people out there that do want 61 megapixel or higher, 80 megapixel or whatever, and that's fine. I'm not going to argue with anybody about do you need it or what do you want it for? Oh, it's gonna fill your storage up. You're not gonna. I don't care if they want it. Let them deal with it. I'm not going to argue with people about what they want. So I'm all about you want a higher megapixel camera, Nikon should build one.
But
But
like you said, if they do that, be smart and do the raw, large, medium, and small so that you could knock down the megapixels and have the file size that you want to manage.
yeah,
So that you're
I,
not stuck with only the huge, largest file size
do you shoot in high efficiency star?
all the time.
Me too. That's
me too.
that's all I shoot in.
That's all I
There,
shoot in. I don't shoot. That's all I shoot in.
there's no there's really no discernible difference between it and the uncompressed
I shoot.
lossless.
Yeah, well, there again, you're going to get all kinds of people arguing
Oh, I
about.
know.
I
I
don't
know.
mean
But
in here because
and
because those are the people that have lost the art of photography. This is one of my big things. It's
you,
so technical that they can't enjoy just taking a photo and it being, maybe it's not quite as technically perfect or whatever. I'm sorry, and I'm not going to go on a rant on that. But yeah, I agree with you. I can't detect a difference, and nobody can unless they pixel peep. I'm sorry. Come on.
I've never had an issue where I couldn't recover, shadows or highlights and noise, the dynamic range. I've
Yeah.
never had any situation where high efficiency star that I've used it and said, dang, I wish I would have been in uncompressed lossless, you know?
Yep.
It's so good, and it saves you so much space that it's good. It's all you need.
But I think some people, they kind of manufacture in their mind of what they see and think, because it's somehow better, or I mean, it's supposed to be, because it's I don't know what I'm trying to say. So they have to shoot that, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
whether they can tell a difference or not. No, I got to do it because I brag about it all the time. I shoot lossless, or not lossless,
Yeah.
but full raw. And this goes to video too. And I'll say this about video. Shooting in raw, yeah, I understand all that goes along with that and what you can do or can't do. But first of all, most people don't even know what they're talking about when it comes to video and processing and everything else. And I don't either, really, to be
Well, and
honest.
I'm not a big color grader and all that. So
Well,
yeah,
that's it.
I've shot in raw, but
Most people call their exposure control and saturation color grading, and it is not.
no, it's not.
I learned that from uh, uh, Frame Voyager. John's a great guy, and I had him on here a couple of times, as you may have seen, and he's a
Yeah,
good
no,
guy.
color
he said
grading is totally different than that.
Yes, but we use that term as, yeah, I color grade my video. Do you? Man, I'm impressed, because after learning what it was, I was really impressed. But yeah, I agree. David. I think a lot of people would agree if they just sat down and thought about some of these things. But again, I go back to, a terrible photo technically can be a photo that I fall in love with, because I'm not looking at, all that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. It's just a photo that catches my attention. And I would guess, and I think a lot of people will argue and say, no, my clients demand this level of. No, I don't know that they know that level from my level. Okay.
Well, do you know how many wildlife books there are out there where at least a few shots in that book is going to be of a flock of birds where every bird is blurry?
Yeah.
Some people can't stand that. And
Yeah.
these are people that are, high profile photographers, and they're
Mhm.
putting it in their book of a whole bunch of birds, and every single one is blurry. And they go, "Isn't that a great picture?" And for some people, it's like,
Yeah.
yeah. For
Well,
some, it's no. For some, it's different.
I
But
can tell you, I've printed 13 by 19 photos in high efficiency star and uncompressed raw. You can't tell the difference. There is absolutely zero difference
Yeah.
between those two.
Yeah.
And if you're going to upload to social media and that's all you do,
yeah,
you're not
shoot
going to tell a
JPEG.
difference.
I shoot JPEG.
that's right. Where's the
Yeah.
shirt? Where's the shirt? Where's the
Yeah.
shirt?
And I said the difference between high efficiency and star. I, I I don't care. Sometimes I shoot raw. I just shoot them, but I'll always grab the JPEG to go process. Why? Because I'm not sending it out to an organization. Coca-Cola hasn't contracted me to shoot their next campaign, so. And it looks just fine to most people that look at my photos. I don't have anybody that's looking at my photos that way. They just like them or they don't. Also, all right. So yes, let's see.
All
A1
right.
A1 is a beast. I agree with you, Brian. I agree. And RS talking to NR or Nikon rep told me they're trying to deal with overheating issues for the Z8. Yeah, I can understand that too. I can understand that, and I guess that would lend me to believe that they're trying to get 8K in the camera. If that's the case, I understand they're going to be. Sorry, I'm mumbling here, preoccupied. I can understand it if they're trying to do 8K 60. Of course, I don't think 8K 60 would be in that camera, but anyway, um, I guess they're looking for a better heat sink within the camera or something like
Yeah,
that.
if they're trying to make it unlimited, that would be their problem.
Yeah,
Unlimited instead of a 30-minute limit. If they're trying to go longer than that, then they're going to have to do some unique stuff to make that happen. if the body's smaller.
And he
Which is-
added this in that smaller body. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what we said when we call it the baby Z9. Everybody gets upset. It's not going to be the baby Z. Well, that's what we're calling it. So get over it. It's the baby Z9. But we know it's going to have built-in physical limitations.
Yeah.
That's a given. It can't be an exact copy of the Z9. It cannot be because of the size of the body. The size of the body gives it more heat dissipation, more room for heat dissipation. And also, you can't put that EL18 battery in the Z7 III body unless you add a grip, okay? And who knows, they may not offer the grip that will use an EL18 battery. It may only use doubling up EL15s or something
Yeah.
like that. But anyway, we knew that, but evidently other people can't figure that out. It's going to be crippled by physics, if
Yeah.
nothing else. So,
I mean, and when it comes to raw, the only thing I would say, when I'm shooting raw, my neighbors complain a lot.
I bet they do. I'm just going to have that tattooed on my back and walk in. I shoot raw and walk into exhibition somewhere.
Walk in naked with just a sign on you.
Yeah, I shoot raw.
I shoot raw.
No merch required for that. Oh. Oh man, yeah, Joe. I hope so too. We'll see what happens. The bigger thing right now for Nikon is they just got to get something out. And again, I didn't mean to turn this into the gear thing, but it seems like it just happens. I have no control. I have no control.
No, when it gets more fun to. Well, I don't know if I want to say it gets more fun, but when the specs actually get released and they actually have an announcement and they actually put it in writing, that's when things are going to get real stirred up again. Because either you're going to have a lot of happy people or you're going to have a lot of PO'd people, one or the other, or a combination.
When the first true leaked rumors hit the newsstand, and there are going to be even more people that are tired of it and talking about it because I don't believe anything till I see it. Well, I understand that. But rumor mills have done a pretty good job of getting very close to what the final product is. So it's definitely worth arguing. That's for certain.
Listen, I got to jump off of here, guys.
I got to go too. I've had a great time. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Dave.
Oh, I was just going to say, I got to get out of here and get out of the house here for a little bit. We'll see you guys Saturday during the photo review. Looking forward to it.
All right, brother.
That'll be fun.
So anybody out there before go ahead, Dave. If you
go ahead. Go right ahead.
I was just going to say, if anybody out there sent a photo and you didn't get a response from me, then that means I've missed it somehow. And please resend. If you got a response from me, you're in. All right. I just wanted to say that real quick.
Okay. Hey, take care, guys. We'll see you and catch you later.
All right, buddy. You take care. Thanks for being in here.
Yep.
All right. There's the information for the photo review. If you want to send a photo, here it is. Just email it to me. 2048 on the long side, 2048 pics on the long side. It just gives us a little room to actually be able to zoom in, pixel peep, and critique and hack your entry up. No, I'm just kidding. But it allows us enough room that we can look at the photo and everybody can see, what you did. All right. That said, I need those in by, I don't know what I said last time, but I need them no later than noon on Saturday, noon Eastern, 12 p.m. Eastern on Saturday. So I can get them all in the folder and everything and actually go eat supper with my wife without having to stay behind and upload more photos or whatever. All right. You got anything to throw out there last minute, Jeffrey? And congratulations on getting the computer up and going.
Yeah, about time. It'll be nice to just be able to come on the show and know I'm not fooling around with stuff all the time because that just gets extremely frustrating.
Yeah. All right. Thank you to everybody that's in the chat and everybody that's just here viewing. Again, I'm humbled. Whether you believe me or not, I am. I'm humbled that so many people would enjoy actually being here. But again, I want to make it more personal, more and more personal with the audience. And again, look at the description, the thumbnail. And if you want to be a participant in the panel and you have the ability to stream, by all means, send me an email and we'll get you in here as well. I don't mean for the panel to be the end all, meaning it's just a discussion between us and excluding you. I want you guys involved. Again, where else can you go where you actually get recognized with your questions and comments? So, you want to be a panelist though, just send me an email. I don't have any other admin stuff. We covered the thing. And again, thanks to everybody that's in here. And let's build the community. And I am afraid that at some point it may get so big that we can't make it any more personal with the audience, including the audience, because there will be so many people in here. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'll just start another channel. We'll run them simultaneously so that everybody gets, to ask their question or make their comment. All right. Nothing else on your end?
No, just thank everybody for showing up and all the comments. And sorry I missed probably about a third of the show, but we made it back. So
that's all right. You got back.
I look forward to Saturday. Saturday's going to be fun. It always is.
All right. Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be live again with our Saturday night stream, and this is the Saturday night review. First Saturday of every month is reserved for our photo review. So looking forward to seeing everybody here. If you want to send a photo and you can't be here, that's fine. If you would, just let me know in the email. And we're not sitting around going, Bueller, Bueller, Bueller. And that probably doesn't resonate with a lot of people, that movie. But anyway.
One of my favorites, actually.
It is a fun movie. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm going to wrap it up. God bless you all. See you Saturday, and we'll do it all over again, maybe with even less gear talk, I hope. All right. All right, Jeffrey.
Take care.
Bye-bye.